Y'all, this is just a disclaimer for the coming video you're about to listen to. I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a part of the video where you're going to hear grass cutting start. You're going to even hear me listen to the noise campaign grass cutting happening in the background. And then for the first 2 minutes of it, it's not really too loud. But then for the latter 7 minutes or 8 minutes of that clip, it does get a little bit loud. Like the person moves closer to, my house with the grass cutting. And so you do hear it in the background, and it is kind of distracting, but you can still hear what I'm saying clearly. So that's just about, 7 to 8 minutes, not even, more like 5 to 7 minutes of that, of hearing that grass cutting, and then it stops. I end the clip and come back. But the whole video is clear. The audio is clear and you can hear everything, but I did want to apologize for that short part of the video. Also, obviously, I don't need to say this. I know you can see how long the video is. The video came out much longer than I wanted it to, but everything I said was relevant, right? And I did share info like I always do in these videos, as well as just documenting some synthetic telepathy that was utilized on me and reactive abuse. The same old, same old. So y'all don't have to watch this in one sitting. I know I don't have to tell you that. You can watch it in parts if you want, but it is a long video. So that's just a disclaimer. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program. Every aspect of the program, y'all. Info about the technology used on targets, info about the tactics used on targets, documentation of my experiences with those things, etc. There's a plethora of info on my channel, y'all, that's beneficial and pertinent to targets. Not only will it help you to know what to expect if you're new to the program, but then also, too, it will help you validate your experience, because I've provided a lot of evidence, y'all, supporting the existence of this technology, the existence of this program, COINTELPRO, etc., etc. Witness accounts from credible sources, high-profile targets, just a lot of info, y'all, that I put there. It's not just for me. I put it there for my protection and to validate my experience. But I also put it there to help other targets, because obviously I can empathize with you. I've been dealing with this thing for 4 years, and the last 2 years has been the worst. I found out that I was a target in 2022. So although the targeting started in 2020, I found out in 2022 that I'm a target. And it's ever since then I've been doing research and just, like I said, putting together info on this channel and making videos. That was when the video started. The targeting started here on island in 2020. It continued for 2 years. Eventually, because I didn't know I was a target and I thought it was just some sort of, spiteful retribution because of a text message that I sent to the people in my close circle, I packed up my stuff, resigned from the 2 jobs I was working, and I left, tried to relocate to the mainland, to the United States. I'm American, y'all. I'm from the United States Virgin Islands, but I left that island, the island where my targeting started, and tried to relocate to the United States. And the thing followed me, obviously, because it's a program and I didn't know that. So I had some egregious reactions, nothing physical as in me harming anyone, but me offending people. And of course, there's a live feed on you when you're targeted. You're being surveilled 24/7, and the higher level your targeting goes to, the more intense and the more invasive the surveillance will be, and the more people that will be involved. And so I had these reactions. Of course, it was recorded. The targeting went viral, etc., etc. If you've been subscribed, you know the story. If you're new, don't start at this video. Check out the links in the description box and comment section. There are several links that lead to several videos where I've told my story. You have several options you can choose from, including an 11-hour, 7-part video compilation where I sat there on camera and I told my whole life story, got a lot of backlash for it. But I sat there and I told my whole life story, including the point in my life where I got targeted and the whole experience from the start of the targeting up until now. So please check out the story, check out the links, get up to date on, the information that I share on this channel, get up to date with the technology that's utilized on targets, and get up to date with the targeted individual jargon. So when you're listening to my newer videos and I'm using terms specific to this community, you won't be confused. All right, y'all. Now that that's out the way, and again, I don't need to keep saying this, but for those of you that have heard that redundant intro in every video, I do it because I know that there are new subscribers that might come across this video and this be the first video that they come across for my channel. And so to direct them in the right direction so that they're not lost, and confused about some of the things that I'm talking about in my newer videos, I redundantly do the same intro at the beginning of all of my videos. It's just thoroughness, y'all. I just want to make sure everybody's up to date and everybody knows, the things that I'm talking about, and all the targets that come across my channel are privy to the things that I share on my channel. Because again, this is not just for me, these videos. It's also to help other targets because again, I can empathize with your experience. Anyways, y'all. Whew, let me catch my breath. That was, woo! Long intro, but necessary. Anyways, y'all. So this is more reactive abuse, y'all. Listen. Look. I've never seen that truck in here in my life. Big, huge ass truck. This neighborhood ain't lit like that, y'all. This neighborhood is full of elderly people. Yes, there are young people that live here, like myself, right? But for the most part, the demographic in this neighborhood is elderly people, right? If you check out the demographics of the neighborhood, majority of the people that own homes in this neighborhood are elderly. So yes, you have ref campaign, but it's usually not super aggressive. So I don't know who that big, huge truck belonged to that was speeding down this road. This neighborhood ain't even lit like that. That was clearly gang stalking. Anyways, let me go ahead and continue. So that y'all heard, you can hear what's going on, right? This is a daily ongoing thing. Y'all heard the rev campaign in the background. This is an ongoing thing. Anyway, so I'm glad that was caught on camera. Y'all know anyways, those of you that have been subscribed, I know you have heard countless times in many of these videos, rev campaign, noise campaign from the little aircraft that flies overhead constantly. I know you guys have heard all types of noise campaign, grass cutting, cutting grass that doesn't need to cut, all kinds of stuff, y'all. Anyways, it never stops me from making these videos. The videos are still getting made. Now, I am careful with the videos because I don't want to, like I said in the last video, do self-sabotage. Because although really and truly it's the program and it's reactive abuse and you're just trying to protect yourself when you're documenting things, you can still get backlash for some of the things that you're saying if you're not careful, or if you don't word things properly, or if you seem like you're too rebellious. So that, if anything, is what I've learned from making these videos. It's not necessarily that I can't make them, but I need to be careful with who I talk about, who I mention, how I say things, etc., etc. But I can still document and I can still defend myself. And that's what these videos are about. It's like the best refutation to the tactics used. Because if I didn't make these videos, oh my God, the type of shit show, it's already a shit show, pun intended. Because if you've been subscribed long enough to my channel, you'll know that the word shit is something specifically to my targeting that I've been sensitized to. So it's literally a shit show, literally and figuratively, a shit show. And if I hadn't made these videos, it would have been a real shit show. Like all kinds of narratives would have been spinning, and that would have just been the reality, false or not. That would have been the thing if I didn't make these videos. Anyway, y'all, like I'm spending too long on this intro. I'm tired, y'all. I worked last night, as usual. I worked the night shift. And then this morning, I didn't go straight to the gym this morning like I usually do, because today is a holiday. So that person that I typically catch the ride down with in the morning when she's on her way to work, I didn't catch a ride with her this morning. She was off. So what I did was I got like 2 hours of sleep, and then I got up and I asked her to borrow her vehicle and I went to the gym. And that's actually what this video is about. It's not specifically about the gym. It's really about reactive abuse and my reaction, again, to being antagonized, harassed, and even assaulted in a way. You know, it's like I want to document something that happened, some synthetic telepathy, but I want to be careful about it again because I don't want to get retribution for the documentation. I'm trying to be careful, but this really happened and I feel like I need to document it. And it's part of why I was acting like such a bitch today. You know, it's just this ongoing thing where you're constantly being assaulted with technology, with gang stalking, you know, everything that's included in the program. It's just like a psychological attack, 24/7, all out psychological attack from every direction. And then you have these nasty reactions. I've said it in many videos, y'all. It's called reactive abuse. You're reacting to abuse, and then you get gaslit for the reaction. You get painted as a monster, like you're just this monstrous bitch of a person that just walks around treating people like shit and getting angry for no reason. And you know, the whole reason why you're mad is negated. They'll know why you're getting mad. They know why you're acting like this monster bitch, but it's just no, hone in on the reaction and let's not look at the cause. Let's just look at the effect. It's cause and effect with this thing. There's a cause, which is the targeting and the harassment, and the effect are these monstrous reactions, and they hone in on the monstrous reaction and they totally negate the cause of the reaction. It's crazy to me. Anyway, so let me just play a video for y'all. I've played this in many of my prior videos, but I haven't played it in a while. So to refresh your memory, y'all, I know I don't need to do this. I know y'all know what reactive abuse is. And even if you're new to the channel, it's self-explanatory and I know you'll look it up. But let me scroll down to this video I shared on my channel last year, a 3-minute and change video about reactive abuse. Hold on. Good morning. Top of the morning to y'all. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sharifa. My music name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please scroll down and check out my How I Became a Targeted Individual summary and or full story, as well as my update video. Because in the update video, I basically just tell y'all about how my prior videos got deleted. I used to have way more videos posted, and most of them I was on camera. Now my newer videos, I'm for the most part off camera because I do not have access to that computer I used to use. And the only videos that I have on camera at the moment is my How I Became a Targeted Individual full story. So that's what's going on right now, guys. Please check that out if you're new to my channel. If you're not new, welcome back. I just wanted to share with you guys this video that showed up in my recommended. Remember I told y'all that they target me through the TV and the ads and stuff. And so they sent this and I'm just like, are they poking fun at me? Because this is literally the gang stalking program right now. Whether they are or not, I'm so glad they put that video there. I'm about to share it with y'all. This is literally, remember I keep saying don't react, because literally that's how the program is designed. It's called Poking the Bear. I actually had a video, one of my videos that got deleted, of this military agent, you know, I've said this in several videos, that basically was talking about how the program works and that it's designed to incite a reaction, a negative or adverse reaction out of the target. So now I have an actual term for what that's called. It's called reactive abuse. And so let me go ahead and share it with you guys.
Reactive abuse is where I do something to provoke the target. I find out what her weak spots are, what her vulnerabilities, her sensitivities are. I deliberately push those buttons. I deliberately provoke her into some sort of explosive outburst, which any human being over time will respond with an explosive outburst given enough passive aggression, slights and little digs here and there and triggering of their vulnerabilities. Once she's had the outburst, I've got it. Then all I have to do is focus on her outrageous outburst. Maybe she will scream at me and become angry, and then I'll say, my God, you're such an angry person, maybe you need to go to therapy. Maybe she will start crying and have a breakdown and become very sad and upset, and I'll say, my God, you're so weak, what is wrong with you? And then I'll treat her with contempt and disgust, and I'll really focus on the ugliness and the inappropriateness and the hostility of her response. Reactive abuse is where I do something to provoke the target.
So guys, that's gaslighting. That's gaslighting, and that's what's done in this program. Basically, this is why I keep saying don't react, don't react. Use me as an example, because my reactions literally made my targeting go viral and made it as horrible as can be, because I didn't know how the program worked. Sorry that I sound like this. I have food in my mouth, guys. It's morning time and I'm eating breakfast. But as you guys can see, this is something they put in my recommended. You see that? This is literally just my page I was scrolling down. Whoops, oh boy, it's gonna reload now. Anyway, you can see that it's in my shorts. It's literally a recommended, it reloaded. I didn't mean for it to reload. But it's literally in my recommended videos. So yeah, this is what they do. They target me through the TV ads, whatever I watch, basically. But that was a good video. I'm actually glad they threw that in there. Anyways, talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Anyway, y'all, so you heard that video. You can see I posted this a year ago, as you can see, right? This is from a year ago. Let me like it. I had to like it, right? It's from a year ago, and it's such a good little small clip, and it's so pertinent to the targeted individual program, because that's what it is. That's what they use on y'all, and on us. Reactive abuse, which is basically a form of gaslighting. So you're dealing with all of this heinous harassment, psychological warfare, or the correct term is soft warfare. That's what it's called. And the reason it's called soft is because you're not physically battling with them, right? Or they're not physically battling with you. It's an attack on your psyche. And so that's why it's called soft warfare. That's actually the technical term for it. And although you do deal with physical aspects of the targeting, like gang stalking or energy weapon attacks, it's mainly an attack on the psyche, and that's why it's called soft warfare. Hold on, y'all. Let me just stop the video. I need to blow my nose, and I do want to listen back to what I said, because I just did that long-winded intro, and I'm tired. So I'm going to stop the clip. I'm going to listen back to what I said, and then I'm going to come back and continue the video. Anyways, y'all, continuing on with the video. So y'all saw the reactive abuse clip that I just shared with y'all. And it's similar to the thumbnail that I had for some of these reactive abuse videos that I've posted recently. As y'all can see, that first one that I posted 2 months ago. Mind you, I've had several reactive abuse videos that I've posted throughout the course of making these videos over the last 2 years. But I'm talking specifically about the set of reactive abuse videos I've made over the course of the last 2 months. Look at the thumbnail. It says reactive abuse occurs when the victim reacts to the abuse they are experiencing. The victim may scream, toss out insults, that's me on a daily basis these days, or even lash out physically. That's not me. They'll never get that reaction. Or even lash out physically at the abuser. The abuser then, sorry, it was covered, as you guys can see, by the timestamp in the bottom right hand corner. So I was trying to see what it said. But the abuser then retaliates by telling the victim that they are, in fact, the abuser. So again, the gaslighting element of it, where they're painting you as this monster or this, bitch or narcissist or whatever negative connotation or negative moniker they throw at you. And it's gaslighting because it's a reaction to what they're doing to you. And that's how the targeting works. Another one I want to read to you guys. And I've read this one to you all before. More than anything, I keep reading this one to y'all. The thumbnail for my more targeted individual reactive abuse and gang stalking video. You provoke her until she roars and then get upset at her for becoming the monster you created. So that's what happens with the targeting. And then again, look at the other one on top of that one, the other video, right? Gaslighting, a subtle form of emotional manipulation that often results in the recipient doubting their perception of reality and their sanity. Psychological warfare, soft warfare. Reactive abuse is a derivative of gaslighting. It chains and stems off of gaslighting. That's what it is. It's a form of gaslighting. Understand that. And that's what they do in the program. That's the main tactic. There are a lot of tactics used. That is the main tactic. Reactive abuse, i.e. gaslighting, and then, a plethora of other things that's done to malign the target psychologically. Let me scroll up, y'all. They just were doing craziness. I'm not gonna even share the clip of the freaking video they just threw at me with the shadow networking AI software on Facebook. You know how they hack all of your technological devices with that software? I've talked about it in prior videos. The info about what that is in the description box and comment section. I also have example videos where I've shown you all them utilizing it on me. Several videos on this channel. Check it out, y'all. Check out if you're new. They were just using it on me. You know, after I told y'all I would come back, I stopped the clip and I went and I ate something. And I was just on Facebook scrolling, kind of procrastinating to get back on and finish the video. I go on Facebook and they throw a video at me in my newsfeed again from one of these pages I don't follow. So a suggested page that they're throwing in my newsfeed. I can't even control what they throw in my newsfeed. And full of sensitization. You know, a scene from one of these reality dating shows apparently on the Peacock channel. And they had, I don't know if y'all are familiar, if you're a millennial, you might be familiar with this female, but Delicious from Flavor of Love, that's from way back in the day. Again, if you're a millennial, you might be familiar. She was on like this, it seemed like date where, yeah, it seemed like some sort of date that they were having, but it was intimate. It was like an intimate setting and she was giving him a massage and they were getting to know each other. And the guy is, I don't know if this is not a millennial thing now. This is a common nowadays thing. That popular pop the balloon thing that's happening. And you see all these different YouTubers doing. One of the most common or popular pop the balloon shows, I've mentioned it in one of my prior videos, is done by a female named Arlette. I think hers is the most popular pop the balloon on YouTube right now. And there's several characters that come on the show, right? And they end up becoming like breakout stars because their personality is so outrageous. And so if y'all are familiar with that show, you might be familiar with this person as well that was in the scene with Delicious, Dr. Elam, which is an African guy that's a doctor that came on the show. And he had some outrageous views and he was almost coming across as chauvinistic, sexist, pig-headed, narcissistic, etc. And so he rubbed a lot of the females on the show the wrong way. But it seemed to have worked in his favor because now he got a slot on a show on Peacock because he had that outrageous personality. And so he's on this date with Delicious and she's like giving him a massage with oil and just so much sensitization. You know, he's talking about, I'll show you right just where to touch me. Remember touch, they've sensitized me to the word touch. If y'all have been keeping up with my videos, you'll be familiar with that. The word touch and the word tight. It's weird, it's creepy, it's what they're doing. You know, and I have documentation of the videos when they started doing it last year and then when they started sensitizing me to those words. But that's one of the common words that they've sensitized me to. And so immediately, you know, I'm already looking at it sideways, like, what the heck is this? You know, like, sensitization, shadow networking. Anyways, y'all, sorry it cut off like that. There was loud noise on the porch. Remember I told y'all that in this house, the room that I have is connected to the porch. So anytime somebody leaves or comes in, if they stop on the porch and talk, you hear it. And there was a lot of loud talking, so I just ended the clip abruptly so that wouldn't interfere with the audio. But anyways, finishing what I was saying about this clip that they sent me on Facebook just now, shadow networking. So yeah, Dr. Elam basically solidified, I guess, some sort of position on a show, an actual official dating show now, not just like some YouTube popular show, an actual show on Peacock, where he and Delicious, or her real name is London apparently, were having this intimate moment. It seemed to be this date where she was giving him a massage, and she's talking about touch. You know, he said it. He said, that's what I was telling you on the last clip. He said, I'll show you just where to touch me. And his shirt was off and she's giving him the massage. Let me just scroll down to the video where I initially started talking about the touch and tight stimuli that they created and started throwing at me and programming into my brain. I started talking about this since last year. This is how long they have been programming my brain, y'all. This is some high science MK Ultra mind control programming. Because if you're constantly, and I keep saying this, stuffing that sensitization into somebody's head, you know, painting false narratives, insinuating things with the words that you're using and with the things that you're sending with the technology, and then the person is leaving their house and they're dealing with gang stalking sensitization that's insinuating the same lewd thing, and this is a 24/7 all-out assault via technology and in person, you are programming that person's brain. So now when that person sees the sensitization, automatically their memory will trigger to the false narrative and a thought will pop in their head. So for instance, whatever it is that they're trying to paint with this false narrative, right, that ties back to the text message I sent, they're programming it into my brain. And it's to the point now where all I have to do is see the sensitization and the person's name who's associated with the false narrative will pop in my head. And then they'll gaslight me about that and try to create something from that brain tick. This is what they do. Or if I have an anxious reaction to the sensitization, then they'll try to paint that as something other than PTSD. It's nothing other than PTSD and programming, but they would take that reaction and try to paint it as something else out of with malicious intent, because they think I'm a bad person that bears false witness and they think I'm a stuck-up bitch. And so it's like in their mind, this is some sort of altruistic punishment, I guess. Like they feel like what they're doing is good. They're feeling like this is some sort of, I don't know, vigilante retribution. You know, it's not right. You know, I know I said offensive things in reaction to what was happening to me, but if we look at what started the whole thing, it was an innocent text that was taken way too far. The punishment is not fitting the crime, and it's been going on for way too long. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so what I would call this, y'all, is benevolent conviction. I even said that in one of my poems. It's like this benevolent conviction. They're painting me as a malevolent person, and they're feeling some sort of benevolent conviction. And so they feel like what they're doing is right, and they feel like the things that they're doing to me is deserved. Anyways, y'all, so let me show y'all the video where they first started sensitizing me to tight and touch. A year ago, y'all, right? You can see that they started throwing the word tight and touch at me. Check out that part 2, gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual video. And then check out the part 3 video. In both of those videos, I talk about the tight and the touch word, that terminology, when they started using it, how they started using it. And since then, they've been using it on me and programming it into my brain, in addition to a lot of other false narratives and words that create false perceptions of reality. It's psychological warfare. They know what they're pushing on me isn't true. I know it's not true, but they're purposely programming it into my brain to malign me because they think I'm a bitch that bears false witness. All right, y'all, let me scroll up. Oh, and check out the part 1 video while you're at it too, because then you can hear about the race sensitization and some of the offensive things that I shared in my car in Florida and what led to me sharing those things. Because again, that was reactive abuse as well. And that's also something that they're sensitizing me to badly. The race sensitization is crazy. They're really sensitizing me to race, and it's so bad. It's to the point where I can't like see a Caucasian person. I don't know how to say it without, I just feel so like touchy about, not to use that word, but like touchy about that subject matter, like, because that's the one thing I can admit that I truly did wrong, was sharing the offensive content. That's the one thing I feel like I'm on eggshells about it, and I don't even know what to say when I'm describing, you know, like, I don't even know if I should say white people, should I say Caucasian people, like, I don't even know what would be appropriate. Everything feels offensive at this point. But they're sensitizing me to that race because of the offensive stuff I shared in my car in Florida, the Hebrew Israelite propaganda. And that too is something that's being programmed into my brain. And it's to the point where I cannot see. I mean, sometimes I can, like, it depends. But sometimes, oftentimes, if I see now that race, things about that narrative will start popping in my head too. Like, sometimes I can't even help it. Sometimes I hate when this happens. The word that I was sharing in my car pertaining to the Hebrew Israelite propaganda that relates to that race will start popping in my head, and I'm fighting, like, warring with my brain to stop it from popping in my head, because I know at this point now that's something that would be considered offensive. It's a nightmare, y'all. They're sensitizing me to a lot of things and they're pushing a lot of false narratives purposefully. Anyway, so these are the videos to check out, y'all. These 3 videos from a year ago when they started programming me. And honestly, if you look at it, it's actually a year and change ago. So this is a long time they've been programming my brain. Let me sit up. Anyways, y'all, Listen, Ref Campaign. Look. And that's somebody that actually lives on this street, y'all. But he wasn't too loud with it. Anyway, similar to, like I keep saying, and I'm going to keep repetitively saying this because I want you to understand what's being done here. It's MK Ultra programming with high science technology, similar to when you see an ad, for instance, when you're in the movie theaters, and they flash a Coca-Cola ad or a candy ad or a popcorn ad on the screen. And for you, that's kind of like white noise or a white screen. You know, you see it, but you don't see it. It's just like, okay, you're waiting for the ad to come off so you can get back to the movie. Then the movie starts playing, and later on down the line while you're watching the movie, popcorn pops in your head or Coke will pop in your head. That's the whole purpose of ads. And it's off the same premise of MK Ultra programming. That's why they create ads, because it programs the brain and makes whatever it is that they're advertising start popping in your head, right? So it's the same concept. You're sitting there and you're watching the movie and then popcorn pops in your head and you don't even remember that, oh, you know, like 30 minutes ago they popped an ad on and I just got programmed. No, you just popcorn popped in your head. And it's the same thing where all of a sudden this sensitization that they're sensitizing you to might start popping in your head. Like the word will pop in your head. You don't even have to see the sensitization anymore. And then they'll gaslight you and start sending you stuff about that happening as if it's something that's you and not them, and not programming. High science, 24/7 invasive programming, because this is way more extreme and way more invasive than a 30-second ad. This is an all-day, all-out assault. I'm dealing with it, like I said, with the technology, with them sending these ads constantly or these videos full of sensitization. Then I'm going outside and I'm dealing with gang stalking where they're providing the stimuli and doing certain things to push the false narrative. It's an all-out assault, y'all. And it's programming. Anyway, y'all, so let me finish saying what I was saying, though. I was just finishing telling you about that scene where they were programming me again with Dr. Elam and Delicious, i.e. London. Her real name is London. So anyway, she, he starts saying, I'm going to show you just where to touch me. You know, so he's telling her because she's giving him the massage. And I'm so excited about what you're about to touch. And she said, what? And he said, my chest. You know, and this kind of, but he was saying it in a suggestive way, like it was going to be something else that she was going to touch, right? So anyway, she's massaging his chest, and then he starts talking about his tattoo and mentioning the eye of whatever on his chest and where that came from, just explaining the tattoo. That's the other false narrative and sensitization they slid in there. Because I told y'all last year, at the beginning of last year, when I was living in the old neighborhood, and they kept taking the current when I was trying to become a developer, and I was sitting there trying to be productive despite everything that was going on. Right? And I realized that would be difficult, especially when things were so fresh at the time, to get a job. I was trying to see if I could do something virtually, remotely from home, and something that was more kind of like a contractor in a way. Like I was looking at development or programming, because it's not the same thing, similar. You're dealing with computer language and building apps and stuff, but different roles in the tech industry. Like a developer is more so dealing with the front end of the website, and if you're creating a website, like for instance YouTube or something like that, dealing with the aesthetic of the website, whereas the programmer is dealing with the back end and they're using computer language to deal with creating the functionality of the app. Like you're dealing with apps now at this point, not just websites, and you're creating, the function of the app in the website. I was trying to do that stuff. I was looking into things I could do remotely that could possibly work with my situation. And I came across the tech industry. I love computers. I always have. I'm pretty good. I'm with computers. I'm tech savvy. And I started seeing too that the salary was really good, like 6 figures for most tech industry careers. So I was like, what? I'm thinking this is something I can do and possibly help myself financially and figure out how I could get out of this thing. That's what I was thinking at the beginning of last year. So I started teaching myself how to code and like teaching myself different computer languages. I started with HTML, and I started with my brain is going blank, y'all. Oh my God. I started with HTML and CSS, and then I moved on to JavaScript. And I was going up the ladder, slowly teaching myself how to code and creating projects. And I still have, it's on this page actually. If you scroll down, y'all can check out the portfolio that I have. It's incomplete. I did a lot, but it's still incomplete. I wanted to do more, and I ended up kind of just like what was intended with the gang stalking, deserting that project. But I was putting together a portfolio and teaching myself how to code, and they kept taking the current. And so obviously if there's no current, my computer's going to die, right? And so that's what was happening. They were taking the current, the internet would go, right? At the time, I didn't have money, I didn't have a job. So it's not like I had hotspot or something like that. My phone had no internet either. I had a phone with no internet. And so they were taking the current. And every time they would do that, I'd be stuck in the hot room. You know, the house didn't have AC, it had a fan. And so the fan would be off and I'd be stuck in the hot room twiddling my thumbs while everyone around in the neighborhood is revving by and doing noise campaigns on me. Mind you, this was the neighborhood where the cyberstalking, cyberbullying guy's family lived, and a lot of his family was involved in the noise campaigns. No disrespect to them. I'm not trying to create something and go back into that. But again, just a reminder of why I mentioned him in my videos, because I got gaslit about that too. And then they started creating a false narrative with that too. Anyway, so that's what was going on. You know, it was humiliating. I was miserable. You know, and I couldn't even do what I was trying to do. I was just trying to be productive. Despite everything that happened to me, I was still trying to be productive. And I wasn't being, you know, like I wasn't causing trouble. I wasn't acting angry. I wasn't flipping off on people. And they kept taking the current and sabotaging everything. Like I told y'all what was happening last year. Everything I tried to do, they were sabotaging and blocking up and impeding. I went on Fiverr. I tried to start a writing business. They started effing with my Fiverr, messing with my Fiverr. I tried to apply for remote jobs over in the mainland, right? But jobs I could do virtually. Like, for instance, trying to be like a teaching assistant virtually. I tried to be an instructor virtually. I tried to be a TEFL instructor, teaching English learners that don't speak English. I tried to do that. I even got the certificate for it. All those things were getting blocked up. You know, it was just like weird activity where, you know, initially there would be initial interest, genuine interest from the employer, and then they would be contacted by the program. And then you could tell when they were contacted because you could tell the replies would turn curt and very short. And it's either that you just stop hearing from them, or it would be this thing where they would claim they called me and I didn't get the call and then they're not answering anymore. I even had fake interviews. I had like 2 fake interviews last year from companies where they actually did fake interviews with me, like, and it was gang stalking. It's just weird activity, y'all. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So eventually I said I need to figure out something I can do that's more like contract based, where it's like I'm not necessarily signed to one specific employer. Like if I become a developer, I can kind of work for myself and offer my services to different companies, that type of thing. Or if I become a programmer and I'm good enough, I can offer my services to different companies. I can work remotely anywhere in the globe, right? So I could work for somebody over in, let me not use this, but they get triggered like hell when I say Africa, but like I could work for somebody at any continent, in any continent, remotely, right? If I became a developer or a programmer. So that's what I was trying to do. And they were sabotaging like crazy. No disrespect. I'm not trying to create problems and, like I said, mess myself up with these videos. I'm just telling you what was happening. They were taking the current like crazy, and what led to me doing that drawing. It was impromptu. It wasn't something that they saw me plan out. So, you know, they kept taking the current and stuff. And one day I was so annoyed and pissed off. They took the current for hours this day. You know, sometimes they take it for like an hour, at most 2 hours. And I'm sitting there annoyed, twiddling my thumbs, because imagine what this feels like. You're in a hot room. Again, I told you that I only had a fan. We didn't have AC. And even if we had AC, it would still be hot because the current was taken. Excuse me. So I'm sitting there in this hot room, twiddling my thumbs because the internet is now gone. I don't have hotspot. I didn't have internet on my phone. I was unemployed. And I'm sitting here in this hot room aware of the fact that I'm being watched on camera. And everyone in the neighborhood, not everyone, but I'm like a lot of people are doing noise campaigns. And I'm purposely doing things to make me uncomfortable. Like if I start breathing funny, you know, like having an anxious response to being stared at and having nothing to do, you know, and I start breathing funny or having like hyperventilating a little bit, then they're doing ref campaign or doing more noises outside. Like this is what was happening in that neighborhood and in that house. And so one day they were doing that, and I just got so mad and also uncomfortable with what was happening that I pulled out my book and I just started drawing angrily, just drawing and doodling. And obviously I had this angry, malicious, I guess they would describe it as malevolent, but obviously it was just the anger and reactive abuse to what was going on. This was a constant thing that I'm taking the current. I started just angrily doodling in my book. It was impromptu. It's not like they saw me look something up and then they saw me like carefully go in a corner and start drawing pictures and drawing eyeballs. Like that's stupid and dumb. That's not what happened. They literally took the current. They kept doing it. And this day in particular, they took it almost all day. Like the whole freaking day until my parents came home. They were both out of the house on this day. It was evening time when they brought the current back. They took it around like 12 o'clock, 12 p.m. And all day they had me sitting there in that hot room doing noise campaigns on me, and I had nothing to do. So I pulled out my book and I started doodling, and of course it didn't look pretty. I was mad. It was a excuse me, what's the word I'm looking for? Not an extension. It was a there's a word I'm looking for. My brain is going blank, y'all. I'm tired. It was a what's the word I'm looking for? Not an extension. It was a I can't remember. It's not this word, but this word will do. It was a representation of my emotions at the moment. So I started doodling and drawing a bunch of stupidness. I just started drawing circles and squares and lines. And I drew one eyeball. I drew a yin yang ball. And then I drew an eyeball. Now, mind you, I can show you my book from elementary school. I can show you my sister's book from elementary school. We have always drawn eyeballs. That's something that is a common thing for people to draw. There's an eyeball right now on my wall, y'all. This is my uncle's room that I'm staying in, right? In this new house. Well, it's not a new house. It's new for me as a living space. But I told y'all my grandfather and my grandmother owned this house for decades, and they're no longer living, of course. And so we moved in here and we're renting the house. Well, renting, it's this weird thing, but we're living here right now. On the wall are still drawings and pictures from my uncle who used to live in this room years ago, decades ago. Do you know he has a drawing of an eyeball on the wall? Are they creating false narratives about him? It's literally a singular eyeball. There's nothing else there but an eye. And it's on the wall. Okay? So that's a common thing for people to draw. And it wasn't, again, something they saw me plan out. It was impromptu. They know they took the current all day long. And they were doing noise campaigns on me. And I was sitting there. First, what I started doing was trying to write a screenplay. I came up in my head with this thing that I was going to try to be like, what's his name? What's the guy's name? Jordan Peele. The guy that wrote the movie Us, with the tethered people that were like a clone of everyone else that lived underground, with Lupita Nyong'o, that movie, Us. That was a pretty creepy. He's really good at creating like sci-fi horror movies that could possibly be something that could happen in real life. And with the things that I've experienced, this whole thing is a nightmare, and it's sci-fi and it's real. So I figured if he can do it, I could definitely write a movie. I'm a good writer. I was like, I know I could put together some sort of movie that could represent the targeted individual program and be a banging ass movie. Some sort of like creepy horror sci-fi thriller type thing is what I was thinking, but it really be about reality and about this program, because they do have movies out there like The Truman Show, which is a good representation of the targeted individual program, but not really. It's more, The Truman Show is more like satire and it's jovial and it's more of a funny type thing. I was thinking more of a horror, sci-fi thriller type thing to really show the dark element of this targeting and what it feels like and what a nightmare it is when you become a target. So I was sitting there writing the screenplay, and of course I wasn't using the actual name of people in my story that I talked about in my full story. But I started writing, about certain characters in my real life that I was going to insert into the movie. They started roughing by and acting crazy for that too in the neighborhood. So I said, damn, everything I'm doing is a problem. I don't even have shit to do. They took the current. It's been gone for hours. So eventually I got so basity, angry, and flustered that I pulled up my book and I just started doodling. I drew a square, I drew a circle, I drew a yin-yang ball, a bunch of stupid bullshit. And amongst all of it, I drew one eyeball. And they ran with the eyeball and tried to create this false narrative with the eyeball. Because remember, out there, everybody knows this. So me saying this isn't me saying that I'm a part of this thing. Most people in this day and age know about this, that they have the all-seeing eye, right? That's a thing that you can hear about with the music industry and with Hollyweird, as they call it, or Hollywood. I'm not trying to spit conspiracy theories. I'm really not. Because if I do start spitting conspiracy theories, they'll create... Look, they're done making music with their stupid shit. They'll start creating stuff with it. This is what they do. But most people are privy to that. Right? Look at the dollar bill. You have the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. Most people are familiar with that. So they tried to create this narrative with me drawing a random eyeball amongst a bunch of other doodles, randomly, impromptu, after they had taken current all day long. When they saw me attempt to write a screenplay first, they were revving by and acting crazy for that. And so I said, fuck it. And I pulled up my book and I just started doodling, and I was angry while I was doodling. And amongst all the doodles, I drew one eyeball. And they tried to create a narrative with that. I could see if they saw me sit there, they hadn't taken the current, nothing crazy was going on. And they saw me looking up stuff and they saw me acting creepy and go in the corner and just start drawing eyeballs. I could see if that were the case. You know, it's just like they take these little stupid minuscule things and they try to create stuff out of it. They're really good at doing that with the targeting and creating false narratives. So anyway, that's what they were throwing at me. The eyeball thing in that video, that was sensitization too. In addition to the touch and they didn't say tight, the touch thing, they threw another narrative in there. So then she starts talking about, getting to know him and stuff. And he said, well, of course I like you touching my body. He said, look at you, something about, basically insinuating that he wanted to do with her. That's what he was alluding to. And they didn't even know each other like that. So it seems like that's what he was more interested in than getting to know her. And constantly, that's another false narrative. They keep trying to threaten me to be malicious and nasty, trying to throw the false narrative that I'm like this bimbo, this low self-esteem bimbo that will just throw it away easy on the first night to anybody that gives me attention. This is what they keep trying to insinuate with their heinous lies. It's heinous lies. I have to describe it as that because that's what it is. It's heinous lies. Anybody that truly knows me knows that that's like the complete opposite of me. I'm the kind that makes guys wait and wait and wait and then they never get it. I'm that kind. And actually, I held my virginity for so long. My sisters were teasing me about it because I was holding this shit for so long. My friend used to tell me that she was jealous that I had held the thing. Not to say that. I'm not meaning to say that, because that's a problem. And then they're saying I'm a narcissist and stuff. She literally used to tell me that, though. My sister was witness. Not in a way like, she was saying it in a joking way. Like, that wasn't one of those things associated with the things that happened with us. She was saying it in a joking way. But she was like, damn, you really held that. Like, she saying it in a joking way, but in a admirable way, too. Like, she was admiring me for being able to hold it for so long because I had so many opportunities where I could have given it away and I didn't. I held on to it, and that's why I kind of went kind of batshit crazy for a little bit when I gave it to my ex and then he did what he did to me. Anyway, so I'm not the kind that sleeps around. No disrespect to anybody that does. We're in a very liberal time now. And the Most High, whatever your belief system is, if you believe in the universe, the Most High, the Bible, whatever, I respect it. But from my perception, I believe in the Most High and I believe in the Bible. He gave us free will for a reason, right? So you have the free will to choose to live how you want to live. And I have no right to tell you how to live. I'm not judge or jury. And I'm not perfect myself. So I'm not judging anybody that decides to sleep with men on the first night because it's fun for them or they're liberal and they're sexually free. I'm not judging anybody like that. But I'm not that girl and I never have been. So for them to keep trying to paint that false narrative is just ludicrous, in addition to all the other false narratives they keep trying to paint. Anyway, they're just doing that again to malign me and get in my head. It's just psychological warfare. This is what they do. Paint these false narratives. So anyway, so that's what they were doing with it. Just basically she was saying in the scene, like, I could tell, he's trying to take it there and, I don't want it to just be about that. She said, I've been there before. That's what she said. And then the plane flies by, to insinuate that I have been there before. No, I haven't. I have not been there before. You don't know me. I have not been there before. What I have had happen to me with one man was with my ex that took my virginity. He purposely kept leading me on and making me feel like the relationship was more serious than it was, when he was really just using me for sex. And he was doing that to me in retaliation to the way I broke up with him. I had broken up with him. I told the story in prior videos. I'm not going to go into the details right now. I just felt like we were too young and the thing was getting too serious. And, I had just gotten up there to school and already I was in this relationship. Like 2 months after getting up there, I had already gotten in this relationship with him and he was living, we were living together and it just felt serious too quick. And I just felt like I still want to date and, I'm still young. I want to explore and, and there's nothing they done doing the bird girl. They tried to paint this narrative like I was a bitch for that too. I was 18. I was young. There are so many people that have felt that way and have been real about it and they didn't get backlash for it or painted as a monster. Again, they're just doing it because it's me. But I was real with him about it. The fact that it just felt too serious too quick and I'm 18 and, I want to get out there and date and live my life and I don't want to be tied down in this serious thing so young. And so then I think it's just the way I broke up with him though, because I went back home to the Virgin Islands and I broke up with him through text because I was a coward. Back then I didn't know how to, I was shy and like a pushover and I didn't know how to, because the thing had gotten so serious, I didn't know how to break up with him. And so I didn't do it the right way. And I sent it through text. And so that seemed insensitive. They could do what they want. I don't care. They're just purposely, again, trying to paint me as a villain. Everything I do, they're going to purposely like try to make it seem like it's something, like anyone else would understand. Okay, it was a young 18-year-old girl. That's okay. With me, it's this big deal. Anyway, so 2 years later, ended up getting back with him and, doing stuff with him or whatever, giving him my virginity, and he like was detached from the relationship and he was just using me for whatever. So that's the only man that's ever happened with. It wasn't a continuous thing or a consistent thing. And every other relationship I've been in, I was the one to end it. And I'm not saying that in a narcissistic or bragging way. I'm just being honest. That was the case. My sisters even used to laugh about that because they felt like I had a problem because I was finding something wrong in the relationship or creating stuff. And it was really just I was messed up from that first guy is what it was. So anyways, it's not what they're trying to paint, but they even got so nasty with it one time with the technology to sending me this girl that clearly had a low self-esteem. She looked like maybe she was bullied in high school or something, nerdy, had the little glasses and stuff. Not a bad looking girl, just very nerdy and meek looking, and looking like she had a low self-esteem. She starts talking about the fact that, one day she was walking from school and she was the nerdy girl and how the popular guys had invited her over to play video games and they had the curly hair, all this stupid ignorant stuff that they're throwing into the video on purpose to try to create a false narrative. And they invited her over to play games. And then, long story short, I'm not going to give the whole rundown of what the girl said verbatim, but it led to them all running a train on her in this house. They're going to send that shit to me and do noise campaign. Like, that's how nasty and low they got with the narrative. Trying to paint these horrible false narratives to malign me. I couldn't believe they sent me that. That has never happened to me. Never. No disrespect to anybody that it has happened to, because you do have girls out there that either are like completely sexually free and liberal and they just, they feel okay with multiple partners at one time. Again, I'm not judging anybody. Or they're messed up. And typically, more times than not, when you see a girl that's in a situation like that where they're allowing multiple men to do stuff with them, typically, not always, sometimes the girl is just liberal like that and that's just how she, wants to get down. I'm not judging her. But typically in those situations, because females are different to men, we're built different. Our body is structured different. Everything's internal. Men is all hanging out. Like, females were all internal. And so anytime we have intercourse with a man, they're coming into our sacred space. So that's why we take things on more than men. Men can have sex with a bunch of females and not really feel emotions. We're a female every time we do that, unless you get completely desensitized. Typically, there is some sort of emotion involved. They don't care how much you try to act like you like a man or whatever it is. Females are always going to have some sort of feeling there, some sort of emotional connection there. And so typically those females that you see that are really promiscuous, and I'm not judging them again, I'm just telling you, typically, not always, those females that move like a man where they're sexing off all these dudes or they're having trains ran on them and it's not really hitting the mental, that's because typically there is some sort of mental imbalance going on, like something might have happened to them. That's typically what the case is. Anyway, so that, just painting these false narratives. This is what they do, and they were just doing it just now, and I think it's hilarious. Anyway, let me finish talking about this reaction. I went off on a tangent, and I want to finish talking about this reaction that I had today and yesterday, and it's all due to targeting and gaslighting and abuse, them harassing and antagonizing me. So yesterday, what happened was, let me go to my text messages, y'all. Because I actually told myself, I remember what happened. I have the memory of an elephant. But still, just so I can get the events, play by play, I want to go to my text messages. So what happened when I was at work last night, y'all, right? I'm working every night out of the week now, and I'm so grateful. Definitely not complaining. So please don't think that that's what's going on. I'm grateful and I'm excited that I have the schedule that I have. It's really been helping me as far as my paycheck goes. I really appreciate the schedule and I don't want it to change. But what's happening is that my back hurts, right? Because I'm working now, I'm going ham in the gym, like I told y'all. I'm doing way more. I told y'all I started actually seeing a difference in my physique now these last 2 months, since I've been going to the gym in the morning and I've been doing more reps and I've been eating in a surplus. I told y'all I gained about 10 to 12 pounds. I'm actually seeing a difference in my physique now because I upped the ante with my routine and I changed my diet and I started really eating to gain muscle mass. So I'm going ham though, and I'm feeling it in my body. First of all, I'm more tired now, but not just that, I'm actually feeling it in my body. Not in a bad way, like Ronnie Coleman, if you're into fitness and stuff and you're familiar with Ronnie Coleman. If not, then I'll let you know. Ronnie Coleman, one of the greatest bodybuilders to ever exist. He was one of those guys that pushed it to the limit in the gym. Like, he was lifting the heaviest, he was doing the most, like he was doing a bunch of reps, training for hours on end. And although Arnold Schwarzenegger was a similar type of bodybuilder, this is why they were both at the top of their class, Arnold trained a little smarter, where even though he was doing all of those reps and stuff, he was still making sure to do it in a safe way. Where Ronnie Coleman was like, anything goes, I want to be the best of the best. And he was just lifting, like damaging himself, like lifting heavy ass weight and injuring himself and then continuing to work out on top of the injuries. So he had like a slip disc, basically. He had a spinal injury apparently from high school. He's been into sports, and he was into sports since high school. He had a slip disc, basically. Not in high school, but he had a spine injury in high school that ended up culminating in a slip disc when he started becoming this big, huge bodybuilder. And he slipped the disc in his spine and continued to work out on top of that shit. Like, he went to the doctor, he found out what was going on. They told him he needed a surgery. He didn't get the surgery right away. Instead, he continued to work out on top of the surgery, squatting 800 pounds, deadlifting 800 pounds, that type of weight. And he ended up really messing his body up. And now in old age, he's crippled, basically. Like, he can't walk. Like, he's walking with, like, those walkers you put on your arms. And he's just such a powerful, strong man that even though his legs are basically useless, he's walking on his arms, basically. And his legs are basically, not useful, but they can kind of be used a little bit. And so he's crippled now because of what he did to himself. So anyways, I'm bringing that up to say that I'm not necessarily doing that. I'm not stupid. So I'm not working out to that level where I'm damaging myself on top of serious injuries. But I am kind of doing a foolish thing where when I started going ham in the gym and doing more about a month ago was when this happened. I was doing a 160-pound RDL, right? And most of the females I see, and they're doing RDLs, they're doing lightweight stuff because you don't have to go too heavy with RDLs to get the feeling in the hamstring and to get the feeling in the glute. As long as you're doing proper form, you could do 70, 80-pound RDLs and that would be good enough. But I'm just going ham, this is what I'm doing. And, I'm deadlifting 250 pounds. So for me, anything lighter than 90 pounds is like, it feels like I'm not feeling it. And so that's why I was trying to do the 160-pound RDL. But the thing about the RDL that's different to the deadlift is that you're keeping the weight in your hand. With the deadlift, you're dropping it down, right? You stand up. If you all look up the workout, if you're not familiar, you drop it down again, you pick it up, you stand up, your back gets a break. The RDL, it's like the weight stays in your hand. You stand up, you bend down. You stand up, you bend down, the weight stays in your hand. And so doing that at 160 pounds was a bit too much. And so I strained my lower back. And ever since then, I've been having lower back pain. Y'all, hold on. Let me blow my nose, y'all. I'm going to come right back. Let me blow my nose. Anyway, y'all. So let me go ahead and finish the video now, y'all. You're hearing gang stalking, grass cutting in the background. Hopefully not too loud. Anyway, so let me go ahead and finish. I just had to listen back to what I said because, like I told y'all, I'm tired and, it's usual live audience. It's weird to me because then this is part of the reactive abuse. I start emphasis on the word acting, narcissistic and pig-headed because they're literally making everything about me and it's actually become some sort of obsession with the target. I've seen other targets talk about this. And so you start to move like this pig-headed narcissistic person because I've already talked about this in prior videos. And if you check out my narcissist video, you'll hear me breaking this down. A lot of the tactics they use emulate hating. So it would seem like hating them, doing things to block you up, trying to tear down your self-esteem, constantly like staring at you and obsessively trying to, I don't know, it almost feels like be a part of your world. It's this weird thing. It starts to build this narcissistic disposition within the target because you start to buck back. Like, for instance, if you get dressed up nicely and you go in the vehicle and then they use the shadow networking software to throw a song at you on the radio about only looking good when you put makeup on, you'd be like, okay, well, I look good right now, obviously. They're hating. You know, that's the mentality you start taking on. It's this narcissistic, pig-headed disposition, or everywhere you go, it seems like a lot of people are invested in the targeting. They're going out of their way to make sure to show up where you're at and do things to get your attention, right? It builds a narcissistic disposition because now you're creating a sense of self-importance within the target. They start to feel hella important because you're doing all of this to get their attention. Even as far as the noise campaigns go, like some of them will get out of their house and you're doing manual labor. Cutting grass isn't easy. It's a tiring job, but you're doing that just to get the target's attention, even if it's in a malicious way. These are all things that will create a sense of self-importance within the target, and then you're going to gaslight them about acting narcissistic when you're creating that disposition. Anyways, back to what I was saying though. And then they keep throwing with the technology things to me about obsession, you know, trying to paint the false narrative about certain things, like the relationship, the fictitious relationship that they try to create, right? About, you know what, I'm not going to talk about it. Not the narrative with the text. I'm talking about with the guy that I talked about in my video. Like this, just trying to throw this, I talked about this no, it wasn't the last video. It was in the video Kisses to My Exes. Y'all check that video out. And I only shared that video to disprove some of the nonsense they were sending to me with the false narratives. But anyways, sending me stuff about being obsessed and all this type of stuff. They're constantly sending that type of stuff when that's actually how the gang stalkers act. Like, they actually become so invested in you and your life and trying to be a part of this programming that they actually do become obsessed with you. They're staring at you all day long. Understand this, and constantly engaging with you via noise campaign. That is obsession. And I don't care how narcissistic or annoying I sound to saying that. That is the fact. That's true. They're becoming obsessed with the target and creating this narcissistic disposition within the target. And then gaslighting the target about acting narcissistic when you're creating that disposition within the target. Anyway, so let me continue with what I was saying though, y'all. So, like I was saying about Ronnie Coleman, because I was going off on a tangent. I was just trying to went off on a tangent talking about Ronnie, and this ain't even about Ronnie. Just to tell y'all about the fact that I'm having back pain. This is how I am though. Y'all know I have the ADD and I go off on tangents, and although the tangents are relative to what I'm talking about, sometimes I say more than I need to say with these tangents that I go on. Anyway, long story short, Ronnie wasn't training safely. And so although he was the best of the best when he was doing what he was doing, he was always in pain. He was popping painkillers like candy. You know, if you watch any of these DVDs, these old DVD reruns that he had, like he had DVDs that he used to put out back in the day. He was making buku money too, because a lot of people were interested in Ronnie Coleman because he was accomplishing like these amazing feats of strength in the gym. But it came at a price because he wasn't, doing it the safe way, and he was damaging his body. You know, like I said, in one of those DVDs, if you look at one of his workout DVDs where he's kind of like vlogging his day-to-day with his workout and his routine and stuff, you'll see that in his diet regimen and in his supplement kit, he had painkillers. He was popping it every day like candy. And if he didn't pop it, he would be in extreme pain. Anyway, so he used to work out on top of injuries, and he worked out on top of a slip disc, and that led to more slip discs. And that's why now, at the age that he's at now, you know, in his 60s, I think he's 61, he's had several spinal surgeries. And it's to the point where he basically can't walk because of what he did to himself. Anyway, so I was just going off on the tangent talking about him to say that that's not what I'm doing. I'm not stupid, and I'm not injuring myself in that way. But what is happening is I am going heavy. You know, I am going rather heavy, right? Especially for a female. And especially at the level of intensity that I'm working out at. So I'm going heavy, and then I'm doing a lot of reps. But I'm not foolishly doing all of those reps at a heavy weight. You know, I've said this in prior videos. I'm mixing my weight, right? I'm mixing up the weight, right? So I'm doing reps, like about 20 at a heavier weight, and then I'm doing a lot of reps, the majority of my reps at a moderate weight, not light but moderate, so like 140 pounds. And that's how I've been making it work for myself, and I'm getting results that way too, you know. So I kind of figured out the formula. But nonetheless, you know, I have this back injury now. It's not, I wouldn't even really call it an injury. It's more like a strain. It's not like Ronnie Coleman where he slipped a disc, you know, that type of thing where you're literally working out on an injury. I more so strain my back. You know, I can tell it's not something that needs surgery or that I need to go to a doctor about. It's not that serious. But I literally injured my lower back doing that 160-pound RDL. And ever since then, I've been feeling lower back pain, not consistently. Look, hear them beeping. This is what I'm talking about with the craziness. Hear them beeping in the neighborhood when I said that. It's not a consistent back pain like what was happening with Ronnie Coleman. I don't feel the need to take medication. I'm just fine. But what's happening is if I, for instance, sit for long periods of time on a hard chair, then my back I start feeling the back pain. It exacerbates the back pain. Or or when I go to the gym and I start doing my RDLs and my deadlifts, because I am still doing 250-pound deadlifts, and although I'm going lighter with the RDLs, I'm still doing moderate weight. I'm doing 90-pound. That's kind of lightweight at this point, but moderate 90-pound RDLs. That's putting pressure on the strain that's already existing now. And so whenever I do it, I'm feeling pain after doing that specific workout. The squatting's fine. I'm squatting heavy and I'm just fine. It's not bothering me. What's really exacerbating I wouldn't call it an injury, but the strain is when I do the deadlifts and the RDLs. I'm even considering lowering my reps with the RDLs and the deadlifts, like actually taking the RDLs out completely for now until my back recovers, and maybe just doing like 10 deadlifts. I'm starting to consider possibly doing that just so my back can recover, and then I'll get back to doing that. But nonetheless, so I have this lower back strain, and off and on it hurts, more so dependent on what I'm doing. So like if I'm at work doing security and I happen to be at one of the posts that has a hard chair and I'm sitting on that chair for hours, then I start to feel pain. You know, I start to feel lower back pain. And so this is what was happening last night at the post that I was located at. Y'all, I'm going to wait for the fictitious grass cutting to stop and all the other extra noises that's taking place. And then I will come. Look how it stopped now. This is what I'm talking about with the craziness. This is what I'm talking about where they're creating this narcissistic disposition within the target. This is what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I'm going to wait for all the craziness to stop. And I'm going to finish the video, right? So I'm stopping here. And when I come back, that's going to be the final clip. I'm going to actually now document and talk about what the actual video is about. Anyways, y'all, here to finally finish the video, and as usual, they're humming like hell on me. You know, it's ridiculous. It's like, I don't even understand why I'm being hummed on, and why technology is being utilized on me for just simply advocating for myself. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. I'm not ripping anybody's head off. I'm not acting crazy and sporadic. I'm just making a video and documenting, you know, things that are really happening and advocating for myself. Why would that cause, and you know, the hum to be used on me? I don't understand that. Anyway, so back to what I was saying, y'all. So, you know, so that's why I started talking about Ronnie Coleman, basically, and that's where I ended off in the last clip, because I was just relating it to myself and talking about the fact that I am going ham, like I'm taking this thing serious, this bodybuilding thing, and I am going ham in the gym, ham.com, but not like to that level, to the point where I'm actually injuring myself. I do have an injury, a strain, and so it is causing me pain, but it's not a major injury, and it's not something that would require me to stop working out, or you know, it's not something that's detrimental to me. It might make me change my routine a little bit, but it's not something that's detrimental. I am being careful. Anyway, so I was at work last night, and ever since that last video, things have been kind of shaky. That last video I made, let me hop over to YouTube real quick. That targeted individual new job jitters video, where basically I documented this anxious reaction I had on camera. It's been a while since they've got one of those, y'all. But I had this anxious reaction on camera to shadow networking. Them sending me a video, basically. It wasn't a video, it was this. If you check out the video, y'all will hear the documentation of what happened. But on Facebook, they sent me a post talking about felons deserve good jobs too. Basically insinuating again that the false narrative is true, and that basically my targeting is like me being a felon, akin to me being a felon, and I deserve a good job too. Just purposely being nasty and painting the false narrative. But I've been laughing at the stupidness, and they know full well that's the case too. They've been doing all kinds of stuff to try to get the reactions they were getting last year, and it hasn't been happening. Check out that last video I posted. For the most part, I'd be laughing, but they got the reaction because I'm so anxious about this damn job. You know, like, I've been waiting to hear from them for a whole year. A year, y'all. I started the process at the end of last year, and we're at the end of this year now. Right? So it's just like this angst about it, because I feel like I'm not 100% certain, and I don't want to bear false witness, but just based off of the conversations that I've had with some of the people during the job process, including the cop that I did the physical with, you know, him, like, for instance, telling me that I would hear from HR within a week, and then it took longer, and I'm not sure, and I don't want to bear false witness. That's what I'm not going to do in this video. But I felt like maybe the process took longer because of some of the reactions that I had to the targeting. And so there's this angst and this fear there that I might have some sort of reaction on camera, whether it be me getting angry about what's happening to me, reactive abuse, or me getting anxious about something they sent to me, and then somehow, things getting impeded. That fear is, I'm just being honest, that fear is there. It's a true fear. Because it's like, I'm just like, I don't want to ruin this job opportunity. I already explained to you all in the last video and in several videos how difficult it has been for me to get a job that I'm qualified for since coming back to Island after the targeting going viral and after me sharing all of those offensive things that I shared in my car in Florida. I've never experienced this before. This is a foreign feeling to me. I'm used to being able to get jobs very quickly, and good jobs at that. So this is a foreign feeling to me, and it's been an ongoing thing for the last 2 years now. Remember, I came back at the end of 2022, and we're now at the end of 2024. So now that PTSD and trauma is there, and I'm just like, I don't want to mess this up. And so that's what caused the reaction that happened, and I documented it. Check out the last video. Because typically when they send something like that to me, I would laugh and roll my eyes. They know full well that's what's been happening recently. Sending all kind of children around me, all kind of stupid, dumb shit they be doing, and bending over in front of me, all kinds of stuff just to be malicious and push the false narrative and make me feel accused, but not just that, to humiliate me because they have this issue with me. So that's what it's about, and it's not just that false narrative. It's a plethora of false narratives, like the lowest and the worst false narratives you can think of, they're throwing at me intentionally. So that's what caused that reaction. But ever since then, you see that happened 2 days ago, things have been kind of like they amped up with stuff, because of course now I always get super defensive and angry. They know this about me. Out of all of the false narratives, one of the main ones that they can get the nasty, angry, egregious reaction from is the main false narrative, the one that started the whole thing, because I have the most trauma and PTSD from that reaction. And to me, that's the lowest false narrative, the lowest, dirtiest false. Let me be careful about it, because you do have people who have really done that and have repented and turned their life around. So I'm coming across as judgmental, and they do advocate for those people, by the way, because when I've talked about those people in reference to what's happening to me in my videos, just like, okay, I didn't actually do that, and there are people who did, and you're not doing this to them, and then I point out whatever, it seems like I'm throwing them under the bus. And so I get retribution for that as well. So they've actually advocated for people who have actually done this. And for me, it's just like, it's not about that. And it's not about any of these things. It's about the person that they think I am and the issue that they have with me. Anyway, so, forgot what I was saying though. I lost my train of thought. But out of all the false narratives, that's the one that really gets me. Because first of all, that's the main thing that caused the whole thing in the first place. And it's just the lowest. It's the lowest. It's the lowest of the low. And so it gets me angry. Not when they throw it at me, because yeah, typically I would get really pissed more than any other thing when they throw that shit at me. But it's when I have a reaction to it, because they try to utilize that reaction to propel the false narrative. And so it angers me. It gets me so mad, and I have PTSD from what was happening to me in Florida. So I start to get really mad and nasty with my mouth when that happens. So even though I made that video, I've still been more reactionary now to the things they're doing. I'm acting more pig-headed. I have tamed down I really have tamed down my reactions. I've been doing really good. These last 2 days have been acting kind of pig-headed because they amped up spitefully with that. You know, they've been pushing it. And I've been laughing at them, and it's just been this big joke thing. And then they're throwing the great thing at me and all the other dumb bullshit. But now that they finally got a reaction, after months and months of not getting one, they're really trying to ride that wave. And so it's just, like I said, created just like this nasty reaction these last 2 days out of me. I've been in a very annoyed state of being, almost like when I'm PMSing. Those of you that have been subscribed to me, you know how I get when I'm PMSing. It's been that level of irritation. Like, I'm easily ready to snap and flip, and I know I have to control that because that could impede the opportunity. You know, if I look like I can't control my emotions, then how can they put me in there to deal with inmates or whatever the case is? And I can very well control my emotions. This is, again, reactive abuse. Specifically PTSD reactive abuse. But nonetheless, I've been more reactive. Not physical. Not putting my hands on anybody. I'm never going to do that. If you put your hands on me, then I will buck back and fight and defend myself. I'm very strong. But it's never going to be that I get so annoyed that I pop off and punch you as much as I might feel like that in the moment. There's even a gang stalker in this neighborhood. I try not to talk about him. He be popping up every now and then. You know, I live right on the street. You know, I talked about him once in one video a few months ago because he did some gang stalking stuff by the gas station. Who tell me to do that? Out of everyone I've talked about, he's the only one that's like actively popping up and stalking me and doing weird stuff off and on because of that one video I made. You know, and it's like his mom lives on the street and has an issue with me too. You know, craziness when her son was the one who messed with me first. And I just made a video documenting it because I couldn't believe it. Because I actually used to kind of help him out back in the day when I had my car before my targeting went viral. So that's why I made the video. It turned into this big thing, you know, where, you know, she's doing extra ref campaign, his mom that lives on the street and, you know, certain stuff. And then he's popping up, he's on foot. He doesn't have a car, but somehow he's like popping up at places where I'm driving by, you know, and doing weird stuff, like acting like he's going to hop in front of my car. He actually did run in front of my car several times before. He's finally stopped doing that. But then the other day when I was leaving the gym, not today, I believe this was on, what is today, Monday? I believe this was just on Friday. I'm a young female. Like, as much as I'm strong and stuff, I am a woman, a young woman. This guy is like my dad's age. I don't understand the stupidness and why it's continuing and nobody's doing anything about it. Anyway, I'm walking. I caught the bus from the gym to the neighborhood, and I'm walking on the other side to get to this side of the neighborhood. He's walking down the road in a red pants, right? And the only reason I'm talking about this incident, I wasn't going to talk about it, is because now I mentioned the physical thing and that I will get physical if I have to defend myself. He's getting so bold with it now. He's walking past me in the street. So it's not even like you're just walking by my vehicle when I'm in a car. But you're walking past me in the street in a red pants and acting like you're going to jump and do something to me. Like, I'm walking and I said, oh boy. I just thought in my head, look, this crazy one. That's why I thought in my head, because I'm so used to dealing with the stupidness with him now. Ever since I made that video. No other person that I have talked about in these videos have done what he's doing. So I just thought in my head, oh boy, look, this crazy one now. Because he's, to me, unstable. Like, I don't know what he's going to do because he's done threw stuff at my vehicle when I was driving by before. He stopped doing that. He did that once. He walked in front of my vehicle while I was driving through the light. I almost hit him. And he keeps lunging at my vehicle in this kind of weird way. You know, and just like, okay, enough. You did the gang stalking. I haven't talked about you again. Stop. And it's just like this continuous off and on thing. It's really crazy. And so now he actually got to the point where he's walking past me. They all know that I walk through the neighborhood to get to the house when I catch the bus back home from the gym, right? Look how they're doing ref campaign in support of the craziness. This is the mentality, the mad batshit mentality I'm dealing with some of these people. Batshit crazy mentality I'm dealing with some of these people, right? I'm not saying everyone, with some of them. It's like something's missing in the brain. Anyway, so I'm walking back from the bus now, right? Crossing to get to this side of the neighborhood. He's walking by in the red pants, gang stalking. So I just thought in my head, oh boy, look, this crazy one, because I don't never know what he's gonna do, right? You know, it's not like he just walks by and stays quiet and he's just making himself visible. Like, he'd be lunging at my car sometimes, walking in front of the car, all kind of crazy shit. So I just said, oh boy, look, this crazy one. I'm not scared, right? I've been through so much. I'm not scared. It's not a fair thing. It's more so just like a on guard, okay, what am I about to deal with now type of thing. It's to the point where they realize I'm so fearless in what I'm dealing with. I'm facing a lot. They realize I'm so fearless. They sent me a clip of, you know, I forgot what movie it was from, but it was, you know, one of those movies like Achilles or one of those, you know, Greek movies, basically about one of those heroes from back in the day in Greek mythology. I forgot what the name of the movie was, right? But anyways, there's this queen, right? And of course they made her black, right? And so she's basically was about to take the death sentence for, I guess he would be considered a peasant, this peasant that risked his life to help her, right? And so they were about to throw him in the ocean to let the sea monster eat him because I guess he wasn't supposed to help her or whatever the case was. And she said, nah, look, he helped me. She said, I'll take his sentence. And so they threw her in the ocean, right? And this big, huge, big monster, sea monster, grabbed the lady, wrap up her leg and pull her down into the deep depths of the ocean. And she's face to face with this damn sea monster. And the thing is roaring, all her hair, everything vibrating from the vibration of this thing's big mouth. And she's just staring at it with no fear. And I guess that's what saved her. It spat her out and threw her back on shore. But they realize I'm dealing with a lot of crazy shit, not just necessarily that one person. Like, on a day-to-day basis, so much crazy shit, just this one female taking on all these people. And they realize I'm fearless with this thing. Anyway, so it's not a thing where I'm trying to hurt anybody. I'm harmless, and I would never hurt anyone that hasn't tried to hurt me. That's not what I would do. I'm completely harmless. Like, that's the funny thing about it. Like, they know I'm not a threat, but they threw me in this program. But if you come at me and you are physically attacking me, then I will defend myself, and I'm very strong. So anyways, I'm walking, right, and he's walking down, like, okay, I don't know what to expect here now. So I thought in my head, oh boy, look, this crazy one. That's all I thought. He's, he can hear my thoughts. Remember with the neural monitoring, your thoughts are being projected. They can all hear your thoughts. He's gonna stomp and lunge like he's running towards me. So I squared up and I was about to fight the man. I don't fight men. I don't fight females. I don't fight. I've never been in a physical fight before in my life, aside from with my little sister. And that fight only happened here and now in the targeting. The only other physical fight I can recall that I've ever been in was with my older sister when we were in our early 20s, when we were in school together, living together, and she was pregnant and she was getting into it with me and her husband, and she was just very moody. And it still wasn't even a brawl, not like what happened with my little sister and I during this time in my life now during the targeting. It was like a little hit, play thing, like when you get in a fight with a sibling, you're both hitting each other, that type of thing, but it wasn't like a fist fight. I can proudly say this, I've never been in a fist fight, as strong as I am. But I can guarantee you if I get in one, I'm going to win. And so he's walking by and he's, in stature, not much bigger than me. I'm a tall female, I'm 5'8". He looks a little bit shorter than me. And I work out, right? And he's older. I'm not going to fight an elderly person. He looks like he's like my dad's age, like early 60s. I'm not trying to fight an elderly person. That's crazy. But he's doing crazy things and it's to the point where he lunged at me. I thought I was going to have to square up and fight the man. And so this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm talking about with the targeting. It's like an all-out assault. And I have to protect myself. But I'm never going to get physical with anyone. That's one thing I'm not going to do. And so that's what I was talking about. And I went off on a tangent. Let me go back over there. I only get physical with you if you get physical with me. So anyways, because I was talking about how I started acting. That's what it was. I started talking about how I've been acting these last 2 days since that bullshit happened. Let me plug my charger in. So anyway, so I've just been like combative and just, because I know how they do with the targeting and they really did try to run with it, until I made that video and defended myself, but it's still just this thing where they're doing extra stuff. And so it's just created this really annoyed reaction from me. I've been acting annoyed, and maybe even a little pig-headed, but not physically harming anybody, not saying nasty things about anybody. If anything, I'm just more so like hurling insults at somebody that's done something to me first. So what happened yesterday? Today's Monday, y'all. Yesterday, before I got to work and all the stuff that I'm documenting happened, I was jogging. I went to do my jog in the neighborhood. Every Sunday I jog. I showed y'all my workout regimen in these recent videos. I don't need to show y'all it again. Sundays, I do this split cycle routine. So I have a split workout week. I do 2 days of cardio. One of the days I jog, which is Sunday. I jog for 20 minutes. Thursday, I ride my bike. So I cycle all the way to, I told you guys, this far away neighborhood. It's not that far if you're in a vehicle. But by bike or foot, that's quite a hike. So I ride my bike to this neighborhood that's a good hop and a skip away. And I play basketball for 40 to 45 minutes. 3 days out of the week, I go to the gym and I weightlift. And then I have 2 rest days. Saturday, my Sabbath. And Tuesdays. Those are my rest days. So yesterday was Sunday. It was my jog day. I did what I normally do. I went out to jog. I put on my workout clothes, and I noticed that I could see my gains. Like, you can see that I gained weight. Like, you can visibly see it. I gained 10 pounds. So I liked what I saw, but it's not like I was in the mirror dancing, going, ooh, or acting anything like that. I just looked in the mirror. I combed my hair. I saw that the clothes was fitting good. I was like, hey, I didn't even think anything about it either. Maybe I had a satisfied look on my face. I don't know what causes the bullshit. I really don't. But anyways, I put the clothes on, and I went out and I did my regular jog like I always do. I'm seeing this older guy walking on my path now. I had reached past this road here that I live on, and I reached not necessarily the other side of this neighborhood, but almost to the other side, to where I'm actually about to exit the neighborhood. I was on that road, and that's the hardest road I have to jog on. Like, he literally walked by me when I was doing the hardest part of my jog, because it's somewhat of an incline and I'm running uphill. So it really takes the wind out of me, and it's the longest. I do checkpoints. So I'll jog to a certain checkpoint, then I'll walk for like a minute. Then I'll jog to another checkpoint, then I'll walk for not even a minute, like 30 seconds. That's the longest jog that I have to get to a checkpoint. That's the longest checkpoint I have, that first one. And I have to go up an incline. Anyway, so I ran by him, and I'm already struggling, not struggling. I've gotten so good at it now that it's not really a struggle. It's more so pain. My legs, since I'm going so ham in the gym, my legs be hurting. And that works out your leg muscles, jogging. Anyway, so I saw him walking with the plaid shirt. I knew it was gang stalking. He's purposely walking down in the plaid shirt. I never see this when I do my jog. I barely see anybody outside. Sometimes I might see someone outside. They're not wearing plaid shirts or army fatigue, or, it's like rare, that I see somebody, and that's about it. I might see somebody outside, but it's a rare occurrence. I see him walking past me, and he's wearing the plaid, and I said, I'm not going to react, so I just nodded at him politely. He's elderly. He really looked elderly, like 70s, maybe approaching 80s. He really looked elderly. So I'm like, well, if the gang stalking motivated someone that's elderly to get outside and walk and exercise, then wonderful. Then I'm being a good motivation to some people. That's good. So I just nodded at him. I didn't have a reaction like I think was intended. I just nodded at him, and he just put his head straight and looked like he got awkward, and he looked down and he just kept walking. So I was like, okay. I just kept jogging. I had my shades on. I had my earphones on. Whatever. So I jog, I get to the checkpoint, I get out the neighborhood, I jog all the way to the shopping center like what I always do, jog back, get back to my street. The street right before my street. Do you know this guy, obviously, who was waiting there the whole time, waiting for me to get back from my jog. He's there waiting. This is what I said when I said the level that some of them go to gang stalk makes you feel a sense of self-importance. Because they're doing things that are actually inconvenient to them. It was hot. And you're standing outside in the hot sun, idly waiting for me to get back from my jog. That's not fun. That's not fun at all. So they're doing all of these things that are excessive just to get your attention, even if it's in a malicious way. That creates a sense of self-importance, and that's what causes the narcissistic disposition. In addition to the fact that it feels like hating, even if it's a tactic, when you're constantly trying to tear somebody down, come for things that they know are good about themselves. That creates a narcissistic disposition, and then you get gaslit about it. And they start to paint it like you're this pig-headed monster person. These are the things that happen when you're targeted. So anyway, I forgot what I was saying. So he's there on the street, bent over, right? I got on the street right before my street. He's there. He waited. It took his time and waited for me to come back, Homeboy is bent all the way over. He was very nimble for an old man. He was bent all the way over trying to gang stalk and do the bend over sensitization I've told you guys about. If you're new, check out my prior videos. Look for the thumbnail with the man bending over in the little short black pants. Listen to the whole video. I knocked that thing down. Long time I knocked that thing down. But understand why that's something they sensitized me to. It's something that happened in Florida that I've long knocked down. I've knocked it down a long time ago, but they still do it to be spiteful. Let me go over to the video just in case. This video, y'all. Sharing stimuli used to sensitize me. And you see the big, strong up man with the low panty pants on, bent over, right? This is what a lot of them do to sensitize me. Like, they'll bend all the way over, put the banana in the air, the booty, right? Mooning me, just to gang stalk and sensitize me because of something that was caused by PTSD, trauma, and stress and anxiety. And this was something that happened when I was in Florida, around the time when I was sharing all of those offensive things in my vehicle, and they were using the shadow networking technology on me hardcore, and I didn't know that they were doing it. And I had all of these gang stalkers around harassing me and on top of me. And then I went to the house where the person or the child that pertains to the false narrative that was created from the text message lives. A child that I have bathed many times. A child that I helped to raise. A child that I never had issues with or awkwardness with prior to this weird shit that's happening now. She came out of the back room and something happened. I'm not going to go into details about it right now. Somebody just pulled up outside, y'all. Check out that video. And if you've been subscribed, y'all already know what happened. But I had a PTSD, trauma, anxious reaction at that time when I was in Florida, when I had tried to relocate and my targeting went viral before I came back home. And so now they sensitize me to bending over. It's such a lewd, annoying, disgusting form of gang stalking. Like, it's one of those things that irks me so bad. It's that and the pinching of the nose. I don't know which out of the two annoys me more, but both of those get the heated, the nasty reaction sometimes that they're looking for. It didn't happen yesterday. The man looked elderly. Like I said, I felt good that I motivated him to get out the house and walk, and he was acting nimble, trying to gang stalk. He was even bending over, so obviously this is having some sort of positive effect on the gang stalkers. I just laughed. Because to me, I just thought it was ridiculous that I had did this whole jog and came back and he was waiting there just to bend over and gang stalk. So I just laughed. Y'all, I'm going to finish this video. I know I said I wasn't going to do another clip, but I just know how it gets when people get home and stuff, and the video's going to get interrupted, and I'll finish the video when I go to work, y'all. Anyway, y'all, I'm at work right now. As you guys can see, at the top it says 2:07 a.m. Got on at 12 o'clock, but I was listening to all of those clips that I made at home before I finished the video. So anyways, finishing off where I left off in the last clip, where I was telling y'all about this elderly gang stalker. I know you hear the noise campaign thing turning on. There's something here at work. I told y'all about this in prior videos that they turn off and on. Throughout the night, it sounds like a loud AC vent, but it's like somebody in a room that's turning it off and on, and it's, another form of noise campaign. But anyway, that's irrelevant. So I just laughed, instead of having the nasty reaction that I used to have to that sensitization or that stimuli, I just laughed at it, right? I laughed a lot. I went, ha, like a loud laugh for him to hear. And then I continued my jog. I finished my jog and I went to my house. And as I'm finishing off the last part of my jog, after getting past that gang stalker, I just thought in my head, I know I look good today. I said, anytime they start doing extra stuff, it's because something popping is happening. That's what I thought, and this is, again, one of those narcissistic type thoughts that was induced from gang stalking, reactive abuse. So I went in the house and I purposely looked in the mirror. I made a show of looking in the mirror. I typically don't do that because they paint it like I'm this narcissist. So, a regular person that's working out, you're going to observe yourself in the mirror off and on sometimes to see your results and see what's happening with yourself. They have made me so uncomfortable about just doing regular things that everyday people do. I don't even really look at myself in the mirror. I try to look to get myself together. But because they're painting this false narrative about me being conceited and a narcissist and all this type of stuff like that, I don't even really look at myself or observe my body in the mirror like that. And I'm not even narcissistic like that anyways, or self-absorbed like that anyways. I'm not the kind to stay there staring at myself all day long, but I am working out and I am bodybuilding, and the typical thing to do would be to observe yourself, and check for changes. I don't even really do that. The other day I just happened to turn around. I was fixing my pants and I noticed I saw some results back there. I was like, whoa, okay. I was surprised because I don't look at myself like that. Anyway, so I purposely made a show of looking at myself in the mirror after that, because it's like all of this extra stuff now today when I went to jog, and I did notice before I left that I was looking and seeing my gains a little bit. And so it's just like, again, another one of those moments where it felt like hating. Now, mind you, this is an elderly person, but still just an attempt to malign me psychologically. Y'all, is that the supervisor? Y'all, the supervisor just pulled up. So I'm going to finish this video. I'll come back. I'm going to finish this clip when I get back. All right, y'all, I'm back. I'm actually kind of glad, again, it's one of those moments that the interruption happened, because I realized that for some reason the video sounded a little bit muffled, or the volume sounded a little low. Not really sure why. The Bluetooth is off. It's not one of those things like that where the earphones were connected. The Bluetooth's off, but what happened was I did lay the phone on the desk, which is near to me, and I was doing the audio, but for some reason it sounded low. So I'm now holding the phone closer to my mouth. So hopefully it will sound better than in that last clip. Anyways, so after getting home, as I'm finishing off the jog after running past this elderly man, and I told you I was on the street getting to my house, I thought the thought that I know I look good today, as a response to the gang stalking, the random, what felt like attack. So I like I told you, I got in the house and I was just admiring myself in the mirror purposefully, though, doing it in like a showboat type way, like looking at myself in the mirror in a pig-headed way as a way to say that I understand that you're doing this again to tear me down, because this is a moment that was good for me. It was a moment where I felt like I was looking okay. I can see my weight gain, and now you're doing this. They never do this when I jog, and there have been many moments. We can't even tie it back to that anxious reaction I had 2 days ago, because there have been moments where I've had reactions or brain tics, as I call them, meaning something popping in my head from the programming, and they don't gang stalk like that on my jog. I literally just, combed my hair, put on my clothes. I saw that I was looking, I saw my weight, and then I go out there and this is happening, so I purposely now acted narcissistic. This is again reactive abuse, and I was looking at myself in the mirror and admiring myself. Spitefully, purposefully. I was like, I know I look good today. I said, that has to be the problem. That's what I was thinking in my head. They're all hearing my thoughts and getting worked up, hanging on to every word that I'm saying, and just angry anyways. It's like anything that I do, they're angry about. Like, it seems like whenever I'm happy, they're upset, So it's just like, it's just one of those things. Not everyone, but, the people that have an issue that don't know forgiveness. And so it's just this thing where anything I do is looked at with a critical eye, and there's constantly judgment taking place. And so even if I'm having a reaction to a gang stalker that literally went out of his way to bend all the way over, take a whole walk, again, glad that he got out and got some exercise, but all of this effort just to malign me psychologically, to me that just felt like, again, trying to tear me down because I was having a positive moment. That's what it felt like. So anyways, I started acting pig-headed in that way. Didn't say anything disrespectful about the old man. I'm not a disrespectful person when it comes to elderly people. I already told you guys in these recent videos, I want to say like 60%, 60 to 70% of the gang stalkers are elderly. Majority of my gang stalkers are elderly, but not all of them. 60 to 70%, a large majority of the gang stalkers are elderly people, from the observation I've made and from dealing with this thing, right? I don't disrespect them. I respect my elders, no matter what they do, even if they bend over in the box side all up in the air, and it's something that's, to me, lewd and aggravating. I'm not going to disrespect an elderly person, right? At most, I'm going to laugh. Laugh at the nonsense, at the stupidness, or roll my eyes. But it's not going to be this thing where I'm going in like how I do on some of the younger gang stalkers. I already said this in, I think it was either the last video or the one before that one. I think it was the video before the last one that I posted to YouTube. I said anyone from the age of 55 and down, and it's not like I'm psychic and I can, read your age, but I can look at you and get a good gauge for your age. I'm pretty good at that. If you look anywhere from age 55 to down, you could get it. I will go in on you if it feels like you're bullying me first. And what go in looks like or sounds like is me roasting the person in my head because they're coming for me first. But an elderly person, like I said, the most you're going to get is me laughing and then maybe acting pig-headed about it. Like, okay, I know I look good today, that type of thing. And that was the reaction. I didn't cuss the old man, right? I didn't say anything disrespectful. I didn't hawk spit at him. I didn't do anything of that nature. But of course, just that simple minuscule reaction was a big deal. And it seems to have created some sort of retribution afterward. So anyways, so that same day, this was yesterday, mind you, y'all. This was Sunday. No. It's now Tuesday. Remember, it's kind of confusing because I work the night shift. So it still feels like Monday right now, but it's actually Tuesday right now. It's after 12 a.m. So it's still feeling like Monday, but it's Tuesday right now. This was Sunday when this took place. Remember, my jog happens on Sunday. And then the incident that I'm now documenting that happened after what took place on Sunday, the jog, happened Sunday night. Well, Monday morning technically, because I went to work Sunday night / Monday morning. I went in at 12 a.m. on Monday night. But understand that feels like Sunday night. I went in at 12 a.m. on Monday morning, but understand that feels like Sunday night, right? So anyways, before I got to work that night though, or that morning, I guess I should say, something else happened in the house. So after I had that reaction, let me read my notes, y'all. Also earlier, you're going to hear me reading this. I know it's going to sound jumbled. This is basically what I just told you guys about. But I'm trying to read what else took place. Because something else with someone in my close circle took place that I want to read. Also earlier in the day, I put my clothes on and went for my jog, like I do every Sunday, and witnessed gang stalking. I saw an old man that purposely walked on the trail I jog on wearing a plaid shirt. I nodded at him politely and continued on my jog. Then when I was jogging back to my house, he situated himself on the street right before my house and did the bend over stimuli. I then finally gave the reaction that was sought and laughed rather than getting upset, which was the intended purpose of the gang stalking. I then thought the thought, I know I look good today. Anytime I look nice, they amp up with the gang stalking tactics, which is why I thought that thought, knowing that my thoughts are being projected and can be heard. I have gained weight and was looking nice for real. I then proceeded to go about my day. When I woke up for work, I heard noise campaigns coming from the porch, and someone kept opening and closing the front door every time I would think. I went out to investigate who the culprit was, and it was my father. I then annoyedly packed my stuff, which seems to have riled up my mother, who started intentionally nagging about frivolous things. All while this was happening, the insect drones were going off outside. When I got to work, the Rev campaign was worse than it has been in a long time, and I foolishly kept responding. Okay, let's stop there, right? So let me talk about the latter part of that beginning text, not the first part where you heard the old man, the reference of the old man that I just told you about. The part that was talking about the people in my close circle, and I didn't mean to read the name of the relationship of the people. I always say the people in my close circle, which could be any family member, it can be a close friend, it could be a coworker. I don't really refer to coworkers as the people in my close circle. Typically family is who I'm talking about when I say the people in my close circle, or maybe a friend of the family. Just for anonymity and to avoid problems. Because remember I told you last year I was very open about relationships and who I was talking about, and as it pertains to my family. And that's what led to the computer that I had borrowed from one of my family members getting confiscated, and all of my videos on YouTube getting deleted. She deleted all of my videos. I had so many videos where I was on camera, y'all. And those of you, like I said, that are OG subscribers, you know what I'm talking about. I even posted an update video. If y'all scroll all the way down through my videos, I posted an update video talking about what took place. Anyway, so I fell asleep for work. Nonetheless, when I got home, I ate. When I laid in the bed, I watched a couple shows and then I knocked out. I had to work earlier that night. As a matter of fact, that's right. I didn't go in on Monday morning, my typical shift of 12 a.m. to the morning time, 6 or 8, it depends. This shift was a 10 p.m. shift, and I rarely get scheduled like that, but on Sunday nights, I get scheduled earlier. So it was Sunday night when this took place, not Monday morning. But still the same difference anyway. Even if it was 12 a.m. Monday morning, that's still Sunday night. You know what I mean? But anyways, it was a 10 p.m. Sunday night shift, technically Sunday night. So I didn't have much time to rest. Like the jog was around 5:30ish evening time. And I got back in and I ate and I laid down, I watched a couple shows, and I tried to get a couple hours of rest. So I woke up, and as soon as I woke up, I heard somebody go through the front door. So I heard it and I just, didn't think anything of it. My room is connected to the porch, right? So that's understandable. Of course, I'm going to hear people going through the front door. There's an element of gaslighting with this. Hear them barking the dog, because they'll hear what's going on and they'll know full well it's noise campaign. And they'll try to, again, like I said, one of the main tactics with the programming, gaslight me and pretend like I'm being irrational and I'm creating things from regular everyday sounds. Not the case. Oftentimes, specifically with this person in my close circle, he does stuff like this off and on. Well, he'll do noise campaigns on the porch, and it's obvious noise campaigns. It's not like, okay, I just went through the porch, through the front door, and I sat down. No, it's like this thing where, they can hear my thoughts with the neural monitoring. And so as soon as I wake up, I might start to think something, and as soon as I start to think something, I hear the front door open. So I might be like, okay, that's a coincidence. But then I start to think something again, the front door opens again. Or I now turn on my belly to put on a show, a boot will hit on the porch. And then it's just like these little noises every time I move or really think something. Now this is the new thing because they're doing the neural monitoring. Prior to me leaving Island, when the noise campaigns in the house was really bad, which is why the relationship with this person and myself is the way it is in the first place. That was where it started, was when my targeting first started before I tried to relocate off Island. And this person and myself used to be in the house all the time. The noise campaigns were really bad from this person. And that was what led to the contention and the weirdness in the relationship now. And it built like this, it's just this weird thing with that relationship now. It's very horrible. And I think we both view each other in a different light now because of this targeting. I have had a good relationship with this person. I keep saying this because you know how they like to paint these false narratives and take what's happening now in the targeting and try to paint that as if that's always been your reality. They're really good at what they do. Prior to my targeting, I had a very normal, healthy relationship with this person. There was no contention there, no beef there, very loving relationship, just like with everyone else in my close circle. But when the targeting happened and certain things took place, and then I had certain reactions myself, thinking certain disrespectful thoughts too, it created this weird thing between this person and myself, right? And so that's why the relationship is strained, because they like to gaslight and say I have so-and-so issues. I don't want to say it's obvious. You heard the name of the people that I'm talking about, but they like to paint it like I have so-and-so issues. You know how they say that about some girls? They have so-and-so issues. Just think about the two people, family members I just mentioned. It's still trying to be anonymous. It doesn't make sense, but that's not the case. This is a relatively new thing, this weird thing between him and I, and this whole weird thing with that's why I felt like it was witchcraft. Anyway, so this is what happened Sunday night when I woke up. First went through I heard the front door open. I'm like, okay, I didn't really think anything of it. Then I noticed I went to think, I heard the door again. And I noticed every time I went to think, the door would open. It was just happening too much. It was like 10 different times the door opened and closed. Like the person was doing it softly too, but loud enough for me to hear it. So I was just like, what the heck? So I even hopped. I said, who is doing that? And so I hopped out the bed and I went to the living room. And the other person in my close circle that was sitting there, the female, I'm saying female because I don't want to, even though I just read to you the two people I'm talking about, I still, didn't mean to do that. And I'm still trying to keep some level of anonymity. Okay. So the female, I said, who's going back and forth in between the door? I asked the female that was sitting on the couch and she said, you're so-and-so, the male that I mentioned. Right. And so I said, okay, so I went back in the room, and after that happened, when she told me who was doing it, he stopped. So I was like, okay, so I'm in this kind of annoyed mood already as it is. Like I told you, I've been kind of in this kind of combative mood since what happened 2 days ago with that reaction and them trying to run with it. And then what happened earlier when I went for my jog. So kind of in this annoyed mood in the first place, but that was really gang stalking noise campaigns that were taking place randomly. So anyway, I just started getting ready for work and getting dressed and stuff. The female now starts nagging at me for frivolous little things. She does this sometimes. It's one of those things where, you're mad at somebody about one thing, and so you're quarreling with them about something that you're not really mad at them about. It's really something else, but you're making a big issue about something that's irrelevant because you're really mad at them about something else. Obviously, she was annoyed with me about the videos, and obviously annoyed with me. I think the video that I made 2 days ago, but that video wasn't really too bad. I don't think it was a video thing. It was more so my reaction, right, to this person going back and forth through the front door and doing noise campaigns, even though that's really what was happening. So she acted annoyed with me and started nagging me, and she even used the word bullshit, which they've sensitized me to. And typically when that's being used, there's an element of gaslighting and gang stalking taking place. So she starts quarreling with me about going in the freezer. Mind you, I had went in the freezer hours prior, before. When I came in for my jog, I went in the freezer and I prepared some of my food. I'm eating in a surplus. I'm bodybuilding. I'm intentionally trying to gain weight. So I'm eating a lot of food. So I went, before I fell asleep, when I got back in for my jog, I did go in the freezer and I took out 4 hamburgers. I didn't eat all 4. Those are 2 different meals that I was preparing in one. I ate 2 hamburger patties and some broccoli, 2 handfuls of broccoli, right? Or a handful of broccoli. And I had a hot dog. That was hours earlier. Like I said, I had done the jog, came in and ate. Then I slept for a couple hours. I woke up, now I'm getting ready for work. I'm going back in the freezer to prepare more things to take with me to work. She starts quarreling with me about going in the freezer. Like, why are you going in the freezer every minute? Didn't you just have 4 hamburgers? Da-da-da. This is the bullshit I'm talking about. Da-da-da. So from the time she said bullshit, I knew what was really going on. She was purposely nagging me because of the reaction I just had to the male that was doing the noise campaigns at the door, even though that's what was really taking place. So, I'm just like, when she gets in that mode, I already know there's no reasoning with her because this is an unreasonable nag. And so I just let this person drive by, y'all. Hold on. It's an unreasonable nag. So at this point, I'm just like, it doesn't make sense to even argue with her. I just said, what are you talking about? She said, you just had 4 burgers. I said, that was hours earlier. She said, yeah, but you had 4. Why are you eating so much? I said, it doesn't matter. I said, I pay rent here. I said, I'm going to the freezer to get my stuff. I said, when I went in the last time was hours earlier. And I told her the time because it was literally before my nap. She said, it wasn't that long ago. I said, yes, it was. I said, that was when I made the food. And she said, nonetheless, you just ate so much. You just had 4 hamburgers. I said, I didn't eat all 4. I only ate 2 of them. And she said, but why are you eating all this food? I said, why does it matter? I can do what I want. If I want to eat a bunch of food, if I'm paying for it, what's the problem? The argument didn't make sense. And so I'm saying also too that I'm paying rent here. So why can't I use the freezer? She's just going in. And I realize it's just one of those arguments where there's no reasoning because it's like you're arguing with me and nagging me about one thing, but you're really pissed about something else. So I just went in the room and I just let it be what it was, right? Got ready, got myself together. Meanwhile, all this is happening. The insect drones are going off outside. This is what you saw me read in the text message. Like what's happening now. Hear it? Now, to somebody who doesn't know about this technology and doesn't know about this programming, you would think I were some... Look, you hear how it stopped? Listen. You heard how you were hearing the loud crickets just now and now it stopped? That's to tell you. I have so much documentation about this stuff, y'all. And even evidence, showing info about this technology. Check out the links in the description box and comment section. This is why I do what I do. So I can validate what I'm saying because what targets, if you don't do your research and if you don't provide evidence to back up the things you're saying, you will get gaslit and made to feel like you're crazy, or i.e. schizophrenic. Majority of the people you see walking around saying that they're schizophrenic are truly targeted individuals that just haven't figured things out yet. This is what I've realized from the research I've done. I don't even know at this point if schizophrenia is even a real mental illness or if it's a fictitious mental illness that they threw on targets to gaslight us. There's a large majority of targets that believe they're schizophrenic. Now, I don't know if there's truly an illness called schizophrenia where people truly are hearing things in their head and it's not V2K, energy weapons, and where people are really, feeling this sense of paranoia and having hallucinations, etc. I don't know if there's truly an illness like that and that this program emulates that. I don't know if that's the case or if the whole thing was this fictitious lie, like one of the biggest lies in history, and it's really the targeted individual program. That I haven't figured out yet. I'm going to keep it real with you. But I do know that targets are gaslit and made to feel crazy, and oftentimes the word schizophrenia is thrown at us. They don't do that with me because, again, like I said, fortunately for me, I have a unique targeting. Where it's this thing where even though they're not going to acknowledge to my face that this is happening, it's this unspoken thing that they know that I know that they know that this is a program. They're very open about the fact that this is a program, and also too, it's relatively, to my knowledge, new to the island. And I've provided a bunch of documentation and evidence backing up what I'm saying, so they don't even try to gaslight me in that way. Anyway, so just like what you were hearing just now with the cricket drones, that's what was happening when this argument was happening in the house, right? Bunch of cricket drones outside going off. So I'm like, okay, they're obviously hopping on the bandwagon of what's taking place here. I'm like, whatever. I got myself together. I got to work. I'm sitting at work now. I'm sitting on the chair. Let me now finish reading my notes, y'all. I remember what happened. I don't need to read the notes, but let me just read the notes and then I'll break down to you what I just read. All while this is happening, the insect drones were going off. This is me talking about this argument in the house. When I got to work, the ref campaign was worse than it has been in a long time, and I foolishly kept responding. Lastly, they played against me on the pool game with an avatar that said Darwin, which is a reference to natural selection and an indicator of their feelings towards me for the night. I went to my car to sit for an hour because the hard chair was exacerbating my strained back pain. While in the car, I started nodding off. As I was coming to, I heard a strange thought pertaining to the false narrative created from the text message I sent. Then heard ref campaign, to which I immediately sat up and defended myself. Then for evidence played my part 3 programming video where months prior, not even months prior, it was almost a year ago, y'all, this happened last year, I documented similar incidents and was able to prove it was thought manipulation. Look how they turned on the generator when I said that. Also played Michael Barden video where he described V2K and synthetic telepathy. And when he started talking about synthetic telepathy, I heard the bird drone and saw the synthetic harp lightning. I know that's a mouthful, y'all. I'm gonna break it down. It's self-explanatory. It's pretty much what I just read, but I'm gonna tell you, my account and what happened. So I got to work, and like I told y'all, I sat down in the chair, and at this post, the chair is super hard. So this kind of ties back to what I was talking about earlier with the back pain, right? So this thing was exacerbating, like the thing said, like the text message said, my back pain. I sat there for a good two hours, and my back started to really hurt. So I said, let me walk to the car, and sit down for a little bit. I'll sit for about an hour. The car is obviously soft and cushiony, but the negative to that is you run the risk of nodding off because it feels so comfortable. But I said, let me go and sit in the car because my back is hurting, right? So I need to take a little break from this hard chair. So I got up and I went to sit in my vehicle. But before I did that, I almost forgot I was playing pool, right? I was watching different videos, and I went in my pool app to play pool. I've been doing that for the last 4 years, actually. Before I even left Island and before my targeting blew up, all when my targeting had just started, I was getting into playing pool, the app. It's really fun. And so I do that off and on. And I told you already, they like to play against me with avatars to sensitize me. And so this is what they did. When I was sitting there in the chair for those first 2 hours, I went on the pool game just to play a little pool. And they played against me with an avatar that said Darwin. Of course I caught that shade. They're trying to insinuate, Darwinism, which basically means natural selection, right? And so it's just kind of like the theory that, and this is obviously a theory from Darwin, it's a theory that survival of the fittest, basically. The strong will survive, or what's meant to survive in this world, the dominant genes will survive. So, for instance, if you're somebody that's an idiot, no disrespect to anybody, but you know what I mean, and making reckless decisions, like choosing to drive recklessly with your seatbelt off while you talk on the phone and text and do stupid things like that, or if you, let's say, a daredevil, and you're doing daredevil type things that could lead to you dying, excuse me, God forbid, I rebuke you in the name of the Most High, and you end up dying, that would be natural selection, like kind of weeding out who should be living and the genes that should survive in the world, kind of, weeding out the weaker genes. Like, so for instance, if you're not intelligent, this sounds horrible, because there are intelligent people that deserve to be alive. So I need to make sure I'm wording this correctly. But that's basically what it is. Natural selection, like survival of the fittest, basically. And so if you're somebody that's making poor decisions all the time and you end up losing your life because of those poor decisions, that would be considered natural selection. And so they're sending that to me in this kind of way, like to take a dab out at me, like saying my situation now and my decline is natural selection. Basically is what they were trying to say. It was a real insult, and I caught it. And so I was just like, okay, this is how they're feeling towards me tonight, obviously. Having one of those bipolar moments is what it felt like. Because 1 minute it seems like they're giving grace and they're, like backing off. And then the next minute it's like, doing heinous stuff or insinuating heinous things. So I went to my vehicle. I ignored it. I acted like I didn't see it. I went to my vehicle and I sat down. And I was just trying to rest my back because it was starting to hurt. And unfortunately, I did start nodding off. And this is where I was explaining earlier in the earlier clips that, you know, I'm working a lot of hours now, and then also too working out vigorously during the daytime, which is not an excuse to nod off, because I still have numerous hours at home to sleep. But I've been suffering from insomnia recently. I don't know what it is. I think maybe I'm just doing too much with my body. But it's recently been difficult to get to sleep when I'm at home during the daytime. Let this car drive by, this vehicle. So anyways, I forgot what I was saying now. So recently, it's been hard for me to sleep during the daytime. I've been having insomnia and stuff. And really, the human body's not meant to sleep during the daytime. Yeah, you might take a nap or something like that. But we're not nocturnal. We're not meant to stay up at night. I've said this already numerous times. And so they say that people typically that work the night shift are less healthy than people that are working normal hours, because your body is not meant to stay up at night. We're not nocturnal. This is going against nature, really. This is like an owl trying to sleep during the daytime and, trying to sleep at night and stay up during the daytime. Hold on, let me let this vehicle pass. This is so irritating. So irritating. I mean, I can't even explain it. I keep saying irritating isn't a strong enough word for how irritated I feel often with the gang stalking. I just wish there were a word that could describe the emotion. Anyway, so it's unnatural already as it is. If you're somebody that works the night shift, it's not impossible. I've done it before, but it is unnatural. The example I was giving you is like an owl. Let's say that an owl was trying to sleep during nighttime and stay up during the daytime, a nocturnal animal. Of course, there would be some sort of repercussion to those actions. And so your body obviously gets acclimated to whatever it is you're doing. I've been doing it for a while now, so my body is acclimated to it, and I do get to sleep during the daytime. But oftentimes I'm suffering from insomnia, and then I'm working more hours now too, so it has been kind of hard on me. And my body's now trying to acclimate to that thing now, right? So anyways, I started to nod off in the car. I didn't fall asleep, I started nodding off. I did. I started nodding off in the vehicle, and that wasn't the intention. I didn't go in there to go to sleep. I went in there to rest my back because it started hurting, and I actually started nodding off. And so as I'm nodding off, you know, I started catching myself and kind of coming to, you know, like when you're in between sleep and up and you keep catching yourself. Like, that's how it is when I start nodding off. Like, I'll be up and then I'll start nodding off, and then I'm waking up and nodding off. And it's like this war within myself whenever that does start to happen to me. Yeah, all of a sudden a million vehicles are passing over. This is what I'm talking about, you know. I mean, I feel like there's like probably 1,000 cars just sitting in wait around the area, hanging on my every word, and then gaslighting me about feeling important. You know, like when you're doing all of this, of course I feel important. Anyway, so they gaslit me earlier too with the shadow networking, sending a video about, I think she misses the spotlight because she won't shut up. You know, I think she misses the spotlight, when it's like, it's the opposite. I'm annoyed with the spotlight, which is why I won't shut up. I actually wish they would leave me alone. I'm so irritated with the spotlight, which is why I won't shut up. I didn't even understand that gaslighting. Anyway, so anyways, I did start to nod off, and I start catching myself. And as I'm catching myself, and this is when they like to do this thought manipulation, right? Or synthetic telepathy is what it's called. They have patents for it, y'all. Check out the links in the description box and comment section. Not only did I put the link to a video where Michael Barden is showing you the patent for the technology, he in that same video, he's also showing you the document titled Brain Initiative that Obama signed when he was in office, which propelled the use of this technology on civilians. Look, we have another gang stalker driving by slow now. Look at this now. Slow, you know, driving like 5 miles per hour. This is crazy shit, the Lulu shit, you know. Anyway, because they know this is what happened and they saw the whole thing, right? So it's just like, it's just a big freaking joke, right? A big, like, I'm like a toy to them is what it is. A toy they can't stop playing with. Anyway, so there's a video like that linked in the description box and comment section. Then there's another video where I provided more evidence. I think it's called Evidence of Mind Control Technology. I provided a plethora of evidence in that video as well. That's also linked in the description box and comment section. And then another video from Michael Barden where he's describing the technology and its capabilities. He's a target that's been targeted for a long time, like almost 15 years, and he used to be in the military. He's one of those targets that couldn't figure out how to get out the program, because I've seen targets that have gotten out. He's not one of them, unfortunately. And he's posting a lot of info too, so that's likely why they're keeping him in the program. He posts a lot of info. A lot of the things that I learned from him. And so this is why I try not to overshare either. I do want to help other targets who are going through what I'm going through, but I try not to overshare, because I don't want it to be this thing where they like mark me, like where I have to stay in this thing, for this extended period of time over sending a text 4 years ago. I still can't get over it. Michael Barden's a high profile target. He's what would be considered a whistleblower. Apparently he knew some confidential stuff and he learned some confidential stuff when he was in the military. Look at them gaslighting now. Another false narrative out of the millions. Stupidness. But Michael Barden truly is a whistleblower. And he knew confidential stuff. He talks about this in his videos, that he learned from the military. And so they considered him to be I guess a traitor or whatever, because he started sharing stuff or whatever it was he started doing. And this is what he explains led to his targeting. So anyways, I forgot what I was going to say. Excuse me. They're purposely doing that, painting millions and millions of false narratives on purpose. I don't know anything confidential, and everything that I've shared is public information that they sought me learn. So it's just another bullshit narrative, like calling me a hoe, the predator bullshit, the witchcraft bullshit, and all the other dumb shit. So anyways, I forgot what I was going to say though. So anyway, I was just providing you guys with the evidence before I talk about what actually happened. So as I'm catching myself now and coming to, I'm not going to even say the word I heard, because I don't want to even breathe life into that thing. It just pissed me off so bad. But the M word, you can put it together, that's associated with the false narrative they created from the text message. You know how they keep throwing the word touch at me? I'm a predator, and trying to, with all the other false narratives, spitefully trying to paint this false narrative to malign me. Think about an M word that would be associated with that, right? And I heard it, but I didn't hear it. It's this weird thing where whenever you're in between sleep and awakeness, and they do this thing to you, because that's when they do it. They don't usually do it when I'm wide awake. It's usually when I'm in between sleep and upness, like I'm waking up or I'm nodding off. This is when they do it. That's typically, if you look at all of the videos where I'm documenting this thing happening, even in my part 3, right? Because that's what I read in this video. You're going to hear about it in a second. My part 3 programming video. Let me go over there right now. This video, y'all, that says part 3, gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual. One of the videos I just showed you earlier, where I was telling you can check it out to hear about the touch and tight stimuli. In that part 3 video, I actually documented them using the synthetic telepathy on me, and I was able to prove that they had used it on me, because I showed you all text messages prior to what was obviously synthetic telepathy. A morning, wee hours of the morning, on 2 different mornings, they used it on me. And I heard a thought that I didn't think. Again, it was when I was waking up from sleeping. I hear this thought. It's this weird thing where you hear the thought and you didn't think it. And I immediately sat up and made a big deal about it. And thank goodness I'm the kind that sends text messages to myself. And I document all the time things they're trying to sensitize me to. And a week prior to those 2 different incidents where they used the synthetic telepathy on me, I had texted myself about the word touch and tight and how they were sensitizing me to it. And then about a week later, I wake up from, an intense dream, because that's typically when it happens. It typically happens after these intense dreams that I strongly suspect are dream manipulation, which is another thing they can do with the technology, y'all. Real high science stuff, high science technology. Check out the links in the description box and comment section. Or you can check out, my accounts of different dream manipulation videos that my videos where I've documented what I suspect to have been dream manipulation. I have like 7 different videos I created. Anyway, so in that part 3 video, I was documenting, the synthetic telepathy that they used on me. About a week prior to those 2 different mornings where I woke up in the wee hours of the morning, and as soon as I woke up, I heard a thought I didn't think. One of those mornings, one of those thoughts had the word touch in it. So I sat up immediately and I made a big deal about it. And I purposely went to my text messages and I took a note of what happened, and then I made this video. And I made the video and I was able to show that a week prior, they had actually sent me, I had actually sent myself a text reminding myself to create a video about the fact that they were sensitizing me to the word touch and the word tight. Then a week later, before I can make the video, I wake up in the wee hours of the morning and I hear a thought in my head that I didn't think, where I heard the word touch. So I was able to prove that they use synthetic telepathy then as well. And of course, again, it was in between sleep and awakeness. And in that same video too, I showed y'all a screenshot from another target that was leaving a comment on a different target's page that I was, a different target's video that I was viewing at the time. And in the comment section, he was calling it V2K, but there's a difference between the two, y'all. There's V2K and then there's synthetic telepathy. V2K is where you're literally hearing an audible voice that you know for sure ain't yours in your head talking to you, what they would call hearing voices, schizophrenia, right? V2K. It's an energy weapon that they use on targets. Thank the Most High, I haven't experienced that to my knowledge, but I have experienced synthetic telepathy, which is similar but a little different. This is where you hear a thought that sounds like what your thoughts sound like, but you didn't think that thought. To me, it almost feels like, in a way, it might be a little scarier than V2K, because you really might feel like you're going crazy if you're hearing thoughts that you're not thinking and you don't know about this technology. Anyway, so immediately when this thing happened at work on Sunday night, where I was nodding off in the vehicle and then I heard the M word, and then I heard ref campaign, that made me sit up right away. That was like a shot of caffeine. I sat up right away. I said, I didn't think that. I started freaking out. I said, what? I said, I didn't think that. As soon as I thought that, then I saw the synthetic lightning in the sky. They use HARP on targets as well. I saw this, and it looks fake too. It doesn't look like regular lightning. It almost looked like this flashlight that's lighting up the whole sky. It's this weird thing. But I saw the synthetic lightning. I was like, oh my God, they use synthetic telepathy on me. I'm like, why are they doing this? Right? And it's obviously because I was acting pig-headed in response to what was happening to me earlier in the day. And then also too, I think just riding on the wave of what had happened 2 days prior when I made that video about that anxious reaction I had. So I was just like, what the heck? I was just like, why would they use this on me? And I started going off about it. And I immediately went to this part 3 video and started playing, when they had used it on me last year, and I was able to prove that it was used on me. And so then I also, after playing that video, I played the Michael Barden video where he was talking about how it works, and he was talking about the difference between V2K and synthetic telepathy. So when the V2K part was playing, they were quiet. And when he mentioned synthetic telepathy, they lit up the sky with the weird lightning. Look, see, they're flying the fly by now. They're being very open about the fact that that's what they did. So they lit up the sky with the synthetic lightning, and then the bird drone started going off and the crickets started going off. So I was like, aha, so it was synthetic telepathy that they used on me just now. Look, somebody's driving by now. So I was just like, why though? I'm like, why would they do that? Because I was acting pig-headed in response or reaction to what was happening to me. Like, why would they, I felt like I hadn't done anything to deserve that level of gang stalking, to the point where you're using synthetic telepathy and using that word of all things. That's like the lowest of the low. They could have said anything else. That word? And so I was really in a pissy, frowsy mood after that. And so obviously I got off work, and I told y'all what happened in the earlier clips this morning. This morning, I didn't go straight to the gym like I've been doing because the person that I ride with was off. So I slept for 2 hours. Then I got up, got myself together. I decided to leave. I asked her to borrow her vehicle to go to the gym. She let me do it. And I ran to the store first to get deodorant before I went to the gym. Of course, it's a holiday. They didn't know I was going to this store. I purposely didn't think about where I was going. So as far as they knew, I was heading straight to the gym. And then I just randomly drove to the store in the shopping center, which is near to my neighborhood, to get deodorant before I went to the gym. So all the people in there wasn't gang stalking. People did start coming in after I went in, so some of that might have been gang stalking. But the store was packed off rip. When I went to the parking lot was packed up with people because it was a holiday and a lot of people were off. So I'm like, oh boy, it's like, it's a nightmare for me to deal with packed places dealing with this targeting, because literally everybody is familiar with the targeting and knows who I am. So it's just this awkward thing going into like super packed places, and I never know what to expect either. Especially since, like I said, what happened 2 days ago, and I had been acting kind of, pig-headed and bitchy these last 2 days. I just didn't know what to expect in there. So I went in there, I rushed as fast as I could to get the deodorant, and I ran to try and get in line, and every line was packed up, like full of people. So I was like, oh my God, I'm like, oh boy. So I ran over to the money center, right? You know how they have like the Western Union section in Kmart, and Walmart has those areas too where you can go and deal with like money transactions. Sometimes if the store is packed enough, they'll cash you out over there. And so I saw a lady with a card over there, and then another lady that was in front of her that seemed to be waiting on a transaction to be cleared. And so I went to stand in that line to see if they'll just cash me out for my one little deodorant. That took a bit of a while. I was waiting there for a while. It took longer than I expected. But fortunately for me, my brain didn't really malfunction too much. And, like the sensitization and, things like that like to pop in my head when I'm in these weird places, from programming and PTSD, anxiety, etc. My brain ticked a little bit, but not too much. So I waited there for a while uncomfortably, but it wasn't too bad what happened in there. It was what happened when I left that created the bitchy reaction that I had in the gym today, which is what I wanted to talk about. And then I can close off this video. So anyways, I left and I noticed the gas was on E. So I was like, let me go put $10 in, so I'm borrowing the car, I need to put gas in. So I ran to the gas station, and there's a specific gas station I like to go to because out of all the gas stations, this one is typically empty or will only have like one vehicle. It's not super packed up like the other gas stations, and that's because it's under construction. So they have things in there, obviously, but it's not like as many options as you'll find in the other gas stations. So typically not as many people frequent this gas station, and that's why I like sliding into that one. Unfortunately, this gas station oftentimes has young females working as the cash register. The other gas stations is typically like males working the register. Sometimes you might see a female, but not often. This gas station in particular, they hire on, maybe it's family members, who knows? Not necessarily, because I've seen different ethnicities work in the register, but typically they hire on, it seems like the person maybe likes to give like college students a chance or something like that, because these females seem young, like maybe college students that just graduated from high school and just went to college, that level of that age level, that age range. And if you have listened to my videos, you'll understand that like I told you all, not only am I sensitized to females, but specifically younger females or young looking females. Because, there are some females that aren't that young, but they look young, like they're small in stature and, have a childlike appearance. They love using those type of females to gang stalk me on purpose to push the nasty false narrative and to malign me. When they know my brain is programmed, they know that I feel PTSD and trauma when I get around that sensitization. That's an example of what I mean when I tell y'all sensitization. When I see one of these females, even if it's not gang stalking, they've programmed my brain so thoroughly now that all I have to do is see one of these females that look young and my brain will start to tick. Like instantly the name of the child that's associated with the text message might pop into my head. That's what I mean when I say it creates sensitization. Or I might start having like an anxious response. Like you can see I'm getting visibly uncomfortable. I might get awkward. That sort of thing, while they're all staring at me like a freak show and would gaslight me about the awkward reaction. Programming me 24/7 and then staring at the person you're programming like a freak show and then gaslighting them about getting awkward. But they know what they're doing. It's a well-crafted program. And they're purposely, again, doing this to malign me because they feel like I'm a bitch that bears false witness. And it's just been taken way too far. Anyway, so despite that being the case, and despite me knowing that typically the cash registers, there are younger females, I still like to frequent that gas station because the interaction is quick. I can get through it quickly. I've gotten so good at controlling my reactions now that typically it's not too bad, my reactions to that sensitization. And I'd rather duke it out with that than going to a gas station where a bunch of people are at and dealing with gang stalking in that way. And so I oftentimes go into that gas station, and that's the gas station I used to frequent anyways, before my targeting went viral and before I was sensitized to females in the first place. I used to frequent that gas station for the same reason, because they've been kind of under construction for a while now, and They usually don't have as many options in there, but they do have stuff in there, and you deal with less of a crowd, which has always been me. I've always preferred places that have less people. You know, that's just how I am. I'm an introverted type of person. I'm an introvert that was forced to come out of her shell because of targeting, basically, is what it is. So anyways, I went in there to get the gas, and as usual, one of the younger females was working the register. And although I was feeling kind of awkward because, you know, what happens is whenever they do finally get these reactions out of me, like I told you what happened in the last video when I had that anxious reaction to the post they sent me about felons deserving a good job. Whenever they do get a reaction, it kind of sets me back. It feels like it sets me back several steps. So I will have healed myself from these anxious reactions and know I knocked the bullshit down, and I'm laughing at it now at the things they do. And then when I finally do have an anxious reaction and they get it out of me, I know they run with it. And it kind of feels like I was set back and I have to start all over again with fighting this freaking false narrative. And so I start getting reactionary to the sensitization again. And I have to, again, now all over heal myself again. So it wasn't that bad, actually, the reaction. It wasn't like I sat there and was acting as awkward as I used to act, like how I was acting last year. It wasn't that at all. But I did feel uncomfortable. But it wasn't like that thing where my brain is ticking and I'm shaking and I can't get it together. It wasn't like what was happening last year, like they were hoping it would be. But oftentimes when I go to that gas station, they'll purposely rev by because it's a younger female to be spiteful. And now after what happened 2 days ago, and then the night prior to me being in the gas station where I told you what happened in the car with the synthetic telepathy, you know they were ready to rev by. So as soon as I got in there, you know, it was just like I already started hearing rev campaign outside. I was ignoring it, right? She cashed me out. I just asked her for $10 gas and I bought something. I can't remember what I bought. I think an energy drink for the gym. And I'm trying to stay away from those, y'all. They're so bad for you. And they keep throwing me subs online too, trying to like low-key fearmonger about things happening to your heart from drinking energy drinks, right? So I don't want to give no excuse for anything to be done to my heart, you know, because I'm drinking these energy drinks. Not to say they're going to do something. I don't think they would take it that far, but, you know, they're sending me stuff with the technology. You know, I've gone through a lot. So, you know, it does create some sort of like, I guess they're intending fearmongering. It does create some sort of fear within me. And I haven't been drinking the energy drinks that long for it to have done anything to my heart. I definitely haven't been. You know, I only just started drinking them within the last 2 months since I've been going to the gym to work out. Look at the craziness now. Look, crazy obsession. Say your prayers, please, and figure out what's wrong with you. Say your prayers and get that demon off of you, man. Say your prayers. You need to pray and go home and rest and be with your family. I'm sure you have one. Hopefully you do. If you don't, work on having one, so you can have a life and not focus on me. Say your prayers. Anyway, so let me continue. So just fear-mongering with that. And the energy drink thing, like I said, I haven't been doing it that long for it to have caused anything with my heart. But still, I do know that it's bad for you, and so I've been planning to stop, but it's just like I need a pick-me-up. First of all, I already talked about this, not in the last video, the video before the last one. You know, how they were sensitizing me to caffeine, you know, and sending me stupidness about caffeine and trying to make it seem like the caffeine is what was making me stronger. It doesn't make you stronger, but it does help with your endurance in the gym, right? Especially if you're someone like me that works a night shift and then you don't get any rest and you go straight to the gym to hammer out a workout. So that's why I started doing it about 2 months ago when I changed my workout time and I started going to the gym in the morning after doing the night shift. That's when the energy drinks or coffee. I don't always do energy drinks. Sometimes I do coffee. That's where that came into play, to give me energy. So I prefer the coffee. That's better for you. Coffee's not good either. You know, there are some good benefits to coffee, especially if you're doing like organic coffee. But the problem with coffee is it burns out your adrenals over time. So you don't want to do too much coffee either. And also too, you get dependent on it and stuff. And my body's never really been good with caffeine like that anyways. I'm not a coffee drinker, and typically I can't really handle it too well. It causes anxiety and stuff in me. But because I'm working out, I'm sweating it out, right? And coffee's a diuretic too. So it goes straight to your bladder right away. It dehydrates you. It goes straight to your bladder. And then I'm in there working out and sweating it out. So that's why I can handle it. Anyway, so you know, I'm going off on a tangent. I grabbed an energy drink this day, and I'm not planning to do it in the future. I'm trying to stop. You know, like I said, I prefer to get some coffee or something else for energy. But that's what I got. I got an energy drink, and I asked for $10 gas. So she said, okay, no problem. She hands me the thing that you put your card on. Like if you have a chip, you can put it over and tap it on the machine, and then you can put your PIN in. Excuse me, she hands that over to me, and at the top of the machine, it had the thing where you can tap. And most places, if you have a card with a chip, you tap. So I went to tap and she said, oh no, sorry. This one doesn't work like that. You can't tap it. You have to put the chip in. And I said, oh, okay, sorry. I said, no problem. And so I took the card and I went to put the chip in instead. Do you know they started revving by for that? As if that was some sort of basity or flustered moment. Excuse me, look at the craziness though. Look, somebody's riding by on a bike playing music, y'all. Y'all. Listen. Yo, I cannot make this up. These people are batshit crazy. Do you know there's somebody at this hour of the night? Y'all, it's 3:08 a.m. Look at the top of the screen. The road is black. Do you know there's somebody that invested in me and my targeting that they're riding by, and it's chilly right now too, on a bike in the pitch darkness, blasting a music on the speaker, right? Trying to malign me. I don't even know what the lyrics are saying. Thank God I can't hear it good. But I'm sure it's saying some sort of sensitization. Blasting music while they're riding by on this bike at 3:09 a.m. in the morning, trying to malign me. This is how invested some of them are in me and my targeting. And then would gaslight about me acting narcissistic and feeling important. Anyway, so when that happened, I went to take the card and put the chip in instead. Do you know they started revving by in the road and acting crazy as if that were some sort of flustered, anxious moment? Even if I had a genuine anxious moment and it wasn't a regular mistake because I didn't know that her machine couldn't tap, even if it were a genuinely anxious moment, that wouldn't be something to rev by for because they know that they've sensitized me to that, and nonstop too. As I've already explained to you on these prior videos and in this video too. So they know what they're doing. They know that they're sensitizing me to this thing, and they know that eventually it's going to create a reaction. That's what they're hoping for. And then they run with the reaction purposefully to malign me. It's like this spiteful thing that they're doing. So they start revving by like crazy in the road. And so I had a nasty reaction, right? And I thought to myself, bitch, because there was somebody in this big, huge, loud truck too. So it was super loud. And so I had a nasty reaction. And so I thought to myself, bitch, I said, that's nothing to rev by for because her machine doesn't tap. That's not me acting anxious. I said, just because her machine doesn't tap and she told me to put the chip in, you're revving by. Of course that made my brain start ticking. And so I started to go off and I just said, stupid bitch. So I thought in my head. I didn't think anything else, but that was where it got nasty. I said, bitch, stupid bitch. That's what I thought in my head. And then I saw a police car drive by too, to knock in the programming. And so, I don't have an issue with the police. I've already made that very clear. I don't. I'm actually about to start working with them with this correction officer position. So there's no issue with the police. But with targeting, it is a government program. And so you do have police officers that are a part of the program. You have ambulances that are part of the program. You have firefighters. Actually, it's a gridlock system and everybody gets involved. Private business owners, etc. If they find that you've pissed them off, they don't mind hopping on board. And when I say private business owners, that's what I'm talking about. But with the law enforcement, it's a government program, so naturally they're going to be involved in your targeting. And still, I don't have an issue with law enforcement. I never did. And they were trying to paint that narrative last year, and I very clearly knocked down that narrative. But this is literally what happened. I'm just telling you what I saw. I saw a police car drive by as I'm going off on this guy that was revving by in this big, huge truck. One of those big, like, worker man trucks. I'm going off about it because I'm like, you didn't even get a reaction. It's like you just trying to create something. It's so irritating. It irks me so bad every time I go to that gas station and they purposely rev by to make my brain tick or to create some sort of anxious reaction because now they've actually programmed me to that gas station. They purposely do it. And they know I like to go there because it doesn't have many people. So anyways, I just started going off in my head. And like I said, I've already been in a more combative, defensive mode because of what happened 2 days ago with that new job jitters video that I told you guys about. So anyways, I'm in this pissed mood now. And I'm driving to the gym. And I said, now they finally got the nasty reaction they're looking for. And, I'm kind of going off in my head. Not too bad. But they did get a reaction. They managed to get under my skin. And so I pull up to the gym in that mood. And of course, everybody on the island is privy to my targeting. So they all know what's going on with me when it's happening. Oftentimes when I have these reactions, it's like a small victory for some of them. Like you can see the smirk on their face and like they're getting delight from my anger. It's crazy. And then when I'm looking happy and jovial, then I'm seeing some of them looking mad and like their face. It's just horrible. It's a horrible, horrible thing to be a part of and stuck in. So anyway, when I pull up to the gym, this guy that I see off and on in the gym, he pulls up same time as me in his big truck. And I already said I suspect he might be a police officer or some sort of entity for the government, maybe a correction officer himself, some sort of entity with the government. I suspect, but I'm not certain. Just based off of certain things I've seen from him and times when he's shown up in the gym, I'm not sure, and I don't want to bear false witness. I already told you guys in one of these recent videos, I don't know who's who in that gym. I know for a fact a lot of police officers be in there working out. Hold on, let's this vehicle drive by. I know for a fact that a lot of police officers be in that gym working out because it's a natural thing for law enforcement officers to work out. You don't have to be fit. It is something that they require when you first join the force. But once you get, set in your position, you could kind of let yourself go if you want. It's not recommended. With that type of position, you do have to run down criminals sometimes or run for your own life sometimes. So they do recommend that you be fit and in shape, and oftentimes you'll notice that police officers are athletic and they do look like they're in shape. But you have some police officers that aren't necessarily in shape. They do let themselves get relaxed and lax in the position and they're not in shape. But a lot of police officers work out. So naturally you will see them in the gym, like not even necessarily gang stalking. You will see, like Ronnie Coleman, by the way, was a police officer, just so you know. So that's normal for police officers to be in the gym. But there's an element of gang stalking that happens with it too when I'm there because I'm a target, right? And so this monitoring thing is happening, but they don't always do it. Like sometimes I've been in the gym and nobody will be in there but the gym owner. Sometimes they do that. And then other times it depends on, I guess, if, I've made a video or whatever is going on or I'm having a nasty reaction, then you'll have police officers in there. And some of the faces I recognize. I have good memory. I have the memory of an elephant, unfortunately. And I know a lot of faces on island. I've been around my whole life. Off and on, I've told you I lived in the States for quite a few years as well. But I was born and raised here on this island. And even after graduating from school, I came back home and lived for a few years. And then since the targeting started, since I graduated from college for the second time, I've been here for about 4 years. I left briefly, like I told y'all, in 2022, 2 years after the targeting started. I tried to relocate. And, the thing followed me and blew up and I came back to island. So I was only gone for about 5 months, five to 7 months. Came back, and I've been here again for another 2 years. Now with the targeting much worse. But I know a lot of faces. And so a lot of the police officers that try to slip in there, in this kind of like anonymous way, I recognize the face. Or military personnel, I recognize the face. I'm like, oh, I know you. You're in the military. I know you. You're a police officer. Some of them I don't know. So some of them are walking around me and they're police officers or they're, army people that are possibly in there watching or monitoring me. And I don't know that that's what they are. I don't know their position. So that happens sometimes. And so with this guy, I truly am not sure if he's law enforcement, but I'm just getting that vibe. Like I really have a strong feeling he might be. I'm not sure though. I've never seen him in a police uniform or an army uniform. It's just really him. And how he moves and stuff. I'm just not sure. I get that vibe sometimes. Anyway, I documented him a long time ago in a video from months ago where he came in and he was like doing this gang stalking thing where, and my earphones weren't working that day, right? It died, I think is what happened. And I didn't have the charger. And so he purposely started talking to this other guy in the gym that I talk to sometimes that comes in off and on. Purposely started having this super loud conversation with the guy, saying directed combo, things to kind of insult me, talking about his diet and how he doesn't eat meat anymore and now he's on the fish diet. And he said, but I can't take the smell of fish, saying this in this kind of way, like to insinuate that I smell bad. That's what it was. Purposefully painting the false narrative, just trying to malign me psychologically. And then also too coming for my hair, because I was just the day prior to him doing this. This was months ago. I had left the house with a stocking cap on and then I put the hat over it. And I said, man, if they only knew what was going on underneath the stocking cap. And I said, they do know. I said, they're watching me in my house anyway. I said, if at this point I could just go with my hair shock out because they can see what's going on in my house. And I said, but that's a good thing about having natural hair. You can put on a stocking cap, put on a hat, put on a scarf and you can leave. I was thinking all this in my head while I was getting ready. He comes in the gym the next day and starts talking about when he was in middle school. He used to have a lot of girls liking him and all the time underneath his hair was looking a mess. He had a stocking cap on or a hat on and his head was looking a mess. And, they didn't know what kind of crazy mat was underneath the a mat was underneath the stocking cap or something like that. Just saying stuff to get under my skin and to malign me psychologically. But mainly the smell thing, because, they like to paint that false narrative. And obviously, if you're saying that in a place like the gym where I'm squatting and doing workouts like that, of course that would make me feel uncomfortable. That was intended to try to deter me from working out, because then I get so embarrassed about what's being said. You know, I feel embarrassed about working out. I squatted down deeper and lower, and I opened my legs wider on purpose, not to be vulgar, but because I knew what he was doing. And I continued to do my workout, and I started to insult him in my brain. This is how it works. You know, they come for me first with the bullying. Don't think I'm a bite back. And I do bite back, and typically harder. And I started to go in on him. And, you know, a lot of the things I said, you know, I over-exaggerated, just like how he was over-exaggerating and actually just straight up lying. I over-exaggerated because he's not an ugly guy. He's average looking. It's not like, you know, beauty is subjective. I keep saying that. So there's no right or wrong when it comes to that. Like, for instance, I might see a man and think he's the finest thing ever, and the next female might think he looks bad. You know, it's just a subjective thing, and it's really like the saying says, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. I truly believe that. So for me, from my perception, he looks average. I wouldn't call him ugly or unattractive. There are guys that I would call unattractive. I don't like using the word ugly. But there are guys I would call unattractive, and he's not one of them. He's not unattractive, but I wouldn't call him attractive, at least not in my perception either. To me, he's average looking. You know, just an average looking guy. You wouldn't look twice. But at the same time, you're not going to go like, oh shit, what's that? You know, it's nothing like that. Just average looking. But definitely not my type because of the height. You know, he's shorter than me, and maybe that's what the contention was. Not necessarily that he's not my type. You know, it's not like the man's trying to date me. That's not what I'm saying. But there might be a level of offense there because of what I've said about short men. Not in a way like to insult them. It's not like I've insulted short men. I've been very clear about the fact that, look at them doing the noise campaign now with their stupidness gaslighting. But yet they keep sending me interracial couples, you know, as if I have a problem with that. So even if I did have a problem with that, which I don't understand how that's okay. For a guy to have a preference for a certain aesthetic, like let's say he likes mixed females, how is that okay? But it's not okay for me to say I don't like shorter men. Both are okay. You're allowed to have a preference, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're not insulting what's not your preference. That's all I'm saying. It's like a level of hypocrisy with the targeting. It's okay to like a certain aesthetic as long as you're not coming for or insulting the aesthetic that you don't like. If I were dissing up short men and saying, man, short men are so disgusting, I can't stand them, ew, they're not, you know, like saying mean stuff. I'm not going to start to say like fake scenarios and then they run with it with their craziness. I don't insult short men, and actually I'm very clear about the fact that the reason why I like men my height or taller, preferably taller, is because of insecurity within myself. That's the real. It's because I'm a big, strong female. The people in my family were strong. We're muscular. We're naturally built. Let's let this thing drive by. This must be a short person driving by right now. I'm telling you, they're getting worked. They're getting worked. I'm telling you. They're getting worked for what I don't know. I don't understand what's wrong with what I'm saying. I could see if I was dissing short men and they were coming for me in this way. It's craziness. Anyway, so I already explained very clearly in several videos the reason why I like taller men or men my height or taller. It's not even like I'm that specific. You can be my height and it can work out, but I would prefer taller, but I won't date shorter. That's the one vain requirement with me. And the reason being is because of insecurity within myself. I'm happy with my stature. I love my strength. I love the fact that I'm naturally muscular. I don't even have to work out to see muscles, muscle tone. That's good genetics. I have good genetics. Not going to sound narcissistic for saying this, but at the same time, it has been a source of insecurity for me in the past because I am a strong female. I'm tall. I'm 5'8". We're all tall in my family. My younger sister's taller than me. She's 5'9". We're tall and we're built, right? Not to say manly, you know, because they might take it like that and try to be nasty because of what I'm saying. But strong, think about Amazonian warrior females, like Xena or one of those type of females, like one of those Amazonian warrior type females, where you're comfortable and confident in your femininity, but you're strong. You're a strong female. That's the kind of woman I am. And so I don't feel comfortable dating shorter men because I feel like I'm not going to feel feminine enough in the relationship. That might sound ignorant. That's my perception. And that's how I feel, and I have a right to feel that way. And so I don't understand why that would be a source of contention for anyone. Again, I could see if I were insulting shorter men, like they're not manly enough for me, you know, or saying something horrible like that. Then I could see you throwing daggers at me. I don't understand what the issue really is. And again, it's just because it's me. I'm telling you, it's just a me thing. They're just purposely doing this. They do this all the time. Someone else could have said what I was saying and they would see reason in it. But because it's me, they try to villainize me. This is how the thing works. So anyways, that might have been where the source of contention was with him, why he came in on that gang stalking level, because I wasn't doing anything. It wasn't a day where I had made a video. It wasn't a day where I was having a nasty reaction. I was in there being polite to everyone, staying to myself, just doing my workouts. He came out of nowhere and started doing that directed convo. My earphones weren't working. He started doing that directed convo. So in my head, I'm like, okay, you know, is it because he's short? I just started to analyze him like what I do with most gang stalkers that are being nasty towards me and bullying. When I'm about to go in, of course, I have to analyze the competition or whatever it is that I'm about to go in on. So I start to really look him up and down, and I noticed that he was kind of short. It's not like he's super short, but typically, you know, there is a universal understanding of what short is in men. And typically, they say a man anywhere from 5'8" and down is considered short. Typically. So my height and down, a man that height is typically considered short. Average height for a man is like 5'10", 5'11", maybe 5'9". Some people might say that, but even that's kind of considered short. 5'10", 5'11" is the average height for a man, and then, you know, they get taller. Most men are taller. Not most men, that's stupid. Let me not say ignorant stuff. But a lot of men are taller, you know? And then you have a lot of men that are shorter too, right? There's just a variety of stuff out there. But he would be considered short. He's shorter than me. He looks like he's like 5'6", if I were to guess. He looks like he might be like 5'6". So I went in on him in reaction to him going in on me. You know, I started going in on the dude in my head. I know they can hear my thoughts. And I started thinking, I get it. I would go in on me too, with your ugly face. I said, I don't remember verbatim what I thought to the dude, man. So many gang stalkers at this point now that I've gone in on in retaliation to them trying to bully me. I can't remember verbatim what I thought. But I know I remember thinking that he had an ugly face and that he was short. And that's what the problem was. I started going in on the dude in my head because I was like minding my business, and he came in and he chose violence. So that's why I started going in on the dude, like really going in on him. And he's not even an ugly dude. You know, average face is what he has. Not ugly, not attractive in my opinion. Maybe someone else might say he's handsome, or maybe someone else might say he's ugly. I don't know. But to me, I think universally even, I think majority would say average. You know, he's not a bad looking guy. But I started going in on him, you know, because he was average, and going in on me like this, I went in and said like his face was ugly. And I started going in on his height. You know, it's probably because he's short. He's probably, you know, offended about the things I said. You know, this is what I was thinking in my head. You know, I just getting nasty, man. Just reactive abuse, man. Reactive abuse. And of course, they would totally ignore what he was saying and just hone into my reaction. This is what they do. And again, it's monster bitch at it again. Completely negate the cause. Right? This is what they do. Anyway, after I went in on him, after that day, he started being nice to me. You know, because I made a video about the fact that I went in on him like that. Because, of course, when I left the gym, they were going in on me and doing ref campaign as if he hadn't come in and messed up my peaceful environment and came at me first. So, of course, I made a video to defend myself. I didn't even have to. They know what's going on. They're spitefully being subjective and biased. That's just how the thing works. But I still made a video to defend myself. After making that video, whenever he would come in, he would go out of his way to talk to me and be friendly. No more gang stalking stuff. No overt gang stalking stuff, at least. I'm sure behind my back he was saying whatever, but to my face he wasn't doing it anymore after that. So it became this thing where I have friendly off and on convo with him, and I almost want to say like a love-hate relationship. Not as strong as love or hate. Those are two strong emotions. I more so want to say like a like-dislike relation with this guy. Where like sometimes he comes in, he seems cool, and I could tell like if you're on his good side, or if you're maybe not a target and he has a good view on you or whatever, he might be a cool friend to have. Like he seems like he's kind of cool from what I've vibed out. But at the same time, I'm targeted and I've dealt with stuff with him, and so it's like sometimes it feels kind of like an off energy with him. So it's like this like-dislike relation with this guy, right? And I have many guys in the gym where I have like, you know, you could say like a friendly banter with, you know, he's one of them. You know, I kind of have a friendly banter with him off and on, and it hasn't been anything too major since that day. You know, kind of coming in, you know, wearing the red and stuff, but at the same time, that's the gym's colors now. The name of the gym I go to, shout out to this gym. I don't mind saying their name because, you know, I'm a viral target. They know the name of the gym anyway. Streamline, shout out. They actually, the guy, the owner, has a shirt with the emblem on it, or the logo Streamline, and it's a red shirt. So a lot of the guys will come in wearing the red Streamline shirt. So of course it sensitizes me because it's the color red and I've been sensitized to that color. But oftentimes when they're wearing the shirt, they're just wearing the gym shirt, the Streamline shirt. So I see the red shirt and I try not to let it trigger me too much. But he started coming in with the Streamline shirt, the red shirt. sometimes. And so that does kind of feel triggering a little bit. It doesn't do anything too major. And he hasn't done anything crazy really since that day when he went out on me and then I went in on him about a few months ago and I made that video. So today now, I pull up. He pulls up same time as me, right? We both pull up together. So I'm just like, it felt like gang stalking because I was just going off in my head. I had just had that incident at the gas station. Now I pull up to the gym. He's pulling up same time as me. So I just sat there and I kind of watched what was going on. He walked to the front of the gym and he just kind of started to linger there, almost like he was waiting for me to come out my car or something. So I didn't mean to be a bitch, but I was already in bitch mode. They had already done all that bullshit by the gas station. The night prior, they did the synthetic telepathy. 2 days prior, I had the stupid reaction that I was pissed about. So just in this nasty kind of mood, almost similar to how I am when I'm PMSing. And I knew I didn't want to be a bitch to him. I didn't want to be a bitch. And he was lingering outside the front door. He pulled up same time as me. So I said, you know what? I knew this guy was a cop, This is what I thought in my head. Typically if I suspect something and I'm not sure about it, I won't think it because I don't want to bear false witness. But I was so worked up, I just literally thought that and I knew my thoughts could be heard. I said, I knew this guy was a cop, when he pulled up. Because he pulled up same time as me. Then he goes to the front door, like I said, and lingered. Like he was waiting for me to come out my car. So I knew this guy was a cop, And I said, I really don't feel like the stupidness today, I said, I'm really in a bad mood. I said, I'm trying hard not to be a bitch. And I could tell he heard my thoughts because then he looked in the window kind of bazzity. And then he finally went in the gym. So when I got in there now, of course, now the energy is shifted. And everyone in there obviously is friends with him. Everyone knows everyone in there. But they know each other more than they know me. I mean, they know me because they're watching me. So they know everything about me. But I mean, know me as in like a relationship. I've been going to the gym for about a year now. But I say to myself for the most part, like, I don't go beyond like amicable surface conversation with most people in there. It's not like how they all have like friendships, genuine friendships where they truly know each other and probably have been working out together for years. That type of way. It's more so like now I'm a common face coming in. Also, they know everything about me. I'm a target. And we have amicable conversations, surface level. I've gone a little deeper with some of the guys in there where they'll talk to me about like working out and stuff. But for the most part, it's not like this deep thing where genuine friendship is building because I'm targeted. So of course there's always that guard that's there first of all. And I don't know who's who. Certain things have happened. I've made videos. So it's almost like this surface level thing with the guys in there. Whereas with each other, they know each other genuinely. Probably for years they've known each other. And so those are genuine friendships. So obviously if I have something with one of them, everyone's going to be on that energy when I get in the gym. That's just how that's going to work. And plus, I was already thinking some nasty thoughts in my head before I got to the gym. I was going off. I was having a reaction. I even started thinking narcissistic thoughts too. Again, reactive abuse. I started thinking, well, they all know my name. I don't know their name. I said, so that's the benefit of this targeting. I said, at least something good came out of it. I said, I'm a celebrity. And, I started thinking these nasty thoughts on purpose. And I said, they all know my name and I don't know who they are. This narcissistic, pig-headed thoughts that they, again, would gaslight me about when it's reactive abuse. Because of them revving by and doing all this crazy stuff to try to get a reaction. So I said, they're so invested in what's going on with me. They all know me. Like I'm literally a celebrity, even though I don't want to be. And even though it's in a negative way, that's literally what's going on at this point. I am a celebrity and they all know who I am and I don't know who most of them are. And so I said that as a way to buck back at what was happening. Of course, that would create more whatever, Maybe that's why he pulled up when he did when I pulled up. I don't know. But anyway, so that I started having that nasty thought in my head. I said, I really don't feel like it today, I said, I don't want to be a bitch. This is why I started thinking in my head, and I know he could hear my thoughts. Excuse me. So then he goes in there, and I go in there. I'm in this nasty mood, right? He's standing there at the counter and, like, kind of lingering in front of the book, and I kind of cut in front of him because I was so irritated. And I signed into the book, and I said good afternoon to the owner. He told me good afternoon, and he said, hey, whatever. He didn't have an attitude or anything. But you can see the look on the faces in there. They knew I was on this energy and they knew the reaction I had just had too. I even saw this guy in there that was smirking, so they're watching play by play what's going on with me. And it's entertaining for them. Some of them. So anyway, I just went to work out. I said I'm not going to be a bitch. I said I'm going to take it out on the weights. Like I always do. This is why I like working out because it can take out the aggression and the anger of what's happening to me in the gym. And it also really improves the mental health. It releases endorphins, serotonin, etc. that lightens the mood. I felt so much better after today's workout, y'all. My back was hurting, but I felt so much better mentally after that workout. And so I went in there, I just said I'm going to hammer it out in here in the gym, right? So I head over to the leg extension machine. I'm using the leg extension machine. I see this next dude pull up that's in the gym sometimes off and on. You know, I used to see him more when I worked out at the later times, like what I was doing today around 1 o'clock. But since working the morning shift, I don't be seeing him like that. This dark skinned dude, I made one video about him. Something that happened with him too. But I took that video down. We need to go into the details about it. I took that video down because it just wasn't worth it. Stupidness. Just more reactive abuse. And I think something I did that offended him, that created this thing that he started doing. And so that's where I talked about it in a video. And it was shortly after the other dude doing whatever he did. Anyway, so he pulls up now, you know, and I literally had just rested my ass on the leg extension machine. I see him pulling up. So I was just in an annoyed mood. Everything was irking me. Typically when I see him, even if I do feel like it's gang stalking, I don't have that reaction. I was so irritated already. I see him pulling up, that annoyed me. And I already told you I actually saw him driving in one night when I was working over at the jail doing security. Same place where I'm actually going to be a corrections officer at. He came in at nighttime in the truck with like a uniform on. So he's either a police officer or a corrections officer. So, you know, that kind of made me feel like maybe he's one of those people that have been situated in the gym to monitor me. I'm sure he probably genuinely goes in there and works out. You could tell he knows the owner. You could tell he has like a relationship with everyone in the gym. But he might be one of those people that's sent in there sometimes to monitor me. I'm not certain. Which would make sense now. I'm thinking about, you know, just the past year and when I did see him and when I used to see him when I would work out. It would make sense. Anyway, so he pulled up and I was already in this annoyed, pissed off, reactive abuse mode. Monster bitch mode. Hold on, y'all. Let this thing drive by. More gaslighting and subjectivity, because I know they see truth in what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I know they see truth in what I'm saying, but it's just this kind of thing where it's like, for some of them, I don't like you. I don't care if you're right or what you're saying makes sense. You know, like that's what it is for some of them. I'm telling you. Anyway, so that's what happened. He pulled up and I just got so annoyed. You know, I started rolling my eyes because I just felt like it was going to be gang stalking, and I knew I had just had that nasty reaction with the other dude. So I felt like things were going to get turned up in the gym, you know, because I knew I couldn't control my reaction with that first guy, and I knew things might get turned up now. And it just felt annoying because, again, it was reactive abuse from what I had just dealt with outside of the gym. And then coincidentally, this guy pulls up same time as me, and then he's lingering outside the door almost like he was waiting to have this interaction with me. So the other guy pulls up and I start rolling my eyes and getting annoyed, but then I controlled myself and I just continued to do my leg extensions. So he comes in the gym, you know, the area where I was at was empty. You know, typically in the morning time, I notice now more and more people working out in that area where I'm usually at in the morning. And that's not how it was when I first started going to the gym in the morning. You would see a few people in that area, but not as many people in the area where I go for the first part of my workout as I'm seeing now in the morning, to the point where people are sitting on the machines that I was coming in and using, machines that usually would be free. But of course, again, I'm not gonna like accuse, because I can't concretely prove it's gang stalking. And the gym is for everyone. So I usually try not to react, and I'll just be like, okay, well, you know, I find something else to do. I have a whole list of things to do on my workout regimen. So I just move to the next thing. It's just like it makes me have to do my workout out of order. But I still get my workout done, and, you know, it's what it is. Anyway, here at this time now, the gym wasn't too full. It had a few guys in there, and a lot of them were wearing the gym shirt, the streamline shirt, the red streamline shirt. So that was triggering me too. Even though it's the streamline shirt, it's still just seeing the red. You know, I'm so sensitized now, and I was already in bitch mode. You know, I just dealt with what I dealt with. Then he was kind of lingering outside the door, and then I'm seeing all the red. You know, it wasn't that many of them. It was like 3 of them wearing the streamline shirt, but it was just setting me off, man. The thing was setting me off. I was just in reactive abuse mode, right? So anyway, it's so stupid and dumb, because I've been seeing them in that shirt all the time. Some of them, it's not a big deal. But again, it was just one of those little things where you're already annoyed and in reactive abuse mode. And that was just one of those things. I need to hurry up, y'all. This video is going to be way too long. Anyway, I just, you know, wanted to document what happened, because again, this would be a moment that they would run with, and it would be me being a nasty bitch again, rather than it being reactive abuse. So anyways, so after I do my leg extensions, they know the next thing I'm going to do is hop on the squat machine that's right next to me. This guy, before I could even get on the machine, comes over. He's wearing the red streamline shirt. I haven't really seen him before. This guy that, like this bald guy, I've never really seen him in there before. I think I've seen him like once before. He looks kind of familiar, but like not like a common face that I see all the time. But again, this was a different time that I was working out. This was like around the time that I used to work out, where I went today. Remember, because it was a holiday, so I got to get some rest and then borrow the person in my close circle's car and go to the gym. So anyway, this bald head guy walks by. I'm not saying it in a disrespectful way. Like, I don't know how to describe him. I don't know him like that. So, and he had a bald head. So that's just how I'm describing it. It looked nice. So it didn't look bad or anything. Like, I'm not trying to insult anybody. You know, I'm just so wary. They create stuff from everything I say. This is what I can think to describe him. He had a bald head. And so this is what's making, how I'm describing him. So anyway, he walked by, to use the, whatchamacallit, the calf machine, which is directly next to the squat machine I'm about to use. And I told you sometimes they'll do this, where they'll purposely use the machine right next to the machine I'm about to squat on, to like create this sense of discomfort with me, because they already create the false narrative of me smelling bad, this false narrative. But it's obvious it's a lie. You know, it's trolling like everything else. Why would you go to work out next to somebody that smells bad? It doesn't even make sense. And some of them will stay there for a long time too, working out next to me while I'm squatting, but doing the pinch nose thing to try it, like the psychological warfare thing, to try to make me uncomfortable and make me not do the workout. They're not doing the pinch nose thing as much anymore now that I've talked about it. Sometimes they'll do it a little bit. They don't do it as much anymore, but it's more so just, it's always like this gang stalking tactic. They don't always do it. But oftentimes when they come on the machine right next to the one they know I'm about to squat on, oftentimes it's gang stalking. Not always, and I don't want to bear false witness, but oftentimes that's what it is. So I noticed he was just there waiting while I was doing my leg extensions. He wasn't using the machine. He was just kind of lingering by the calf machine and not using it. So that's what made me feel like gang stalking even more, because I know he knew, and they know that the next machine I'm hopping on is the squat machine. And I had just had all these different reactions, you know, so I knew I was likely going to deal with gang stalking. So I purposely stopped doing my leg extensions and I waited to see if he was going to use the machine, because he was just standing there almost like he was waiting. So he finally used the machine, right? And then I heard, when he finally got on it and started to use it, I heard laughing. And I look over at the front by where the owner sits behind the desk, and I saw the guy that I had just kind of went in on in my head, that was lingering outside the door. I didn't go in on him bad. I didn't go in on him. But I had the thought about, I knew he was probably a police officer, and I said, I don't feel like no shit today, or whatever stupidness I thought in my head with him lingering outside the door. He was there laughing at the front there by the desk. This loud whatless laugh too, and whatless just means like, you know, big and loud, you know, and not contained laugh, you know, like to get attention, it seemed like. And the guy that was on the leg press machine even looked back like he got basity or confused, and he looked back and then he looked back forward and he continued, not leg press, excuse me, calf machine. He finished finally using the machine, he moved. So I was like, okay, good. You know, nobody's in the area. Let me just work out, you know, hammer out these weights and get this aggression out of me, this anger out of me that they created. So I start loading up the machine and I start putting on the weights, and, you know, I go really heavy on this machine. This is the machine I told you guys that I go all the way up to 320 pounds on. So I start off at 270 and I'll do, not 270, I start out at 180 and I'll do 10 squats at 180. Then I put 2 more plates on and it goes up to 270. And I do 10 squats at 270. And then I'll put 2 25-pound plates on, which makes it go up to 320. And I'll do 5 squats at 320. So I do 25 squats in total on that machine. So I load it up, and usually when I put on the first 4 weights to equal out the 180 pounds, I'll then go get the other plates that's going to be added on later in the set. And what I like to do is I rest it against the calf machine, because people don't often use that machine. Yes, people do use it, but not often. That's one of the machines I see used, you know, the least in the gym. So typically when I'm using that squat machine, when they're not trying to be like next to me while I'm squatting, it's available and I'm able to rest my plates against that machine. So I'm setting up to do my squats. I get the 4 plates on the 180. You know, I'm about to now get the other plates to rest it against the calf machine. The guy that pulled up, you know, the dark skin guy I told you guys about, that I made the video about months prior, because it's something he started doing in reaction to something I think I did that I think annoyed him or whatever. I'm not going to go into details about it. It doesn't matter. I deleted that video. He comes now straight to that machine, you know, and stands in front of it. So I'm sit there now, perplexed. And I'm like, okay, you know, so I sit there. I was already annoyed he pulled up, because I felt like it might have been gang stalking. I was in that reactive abuse way anyway, that mode, like I said. I wasn't certain, you know, and so I was just like, you know, now he's coming right directly next to me when I'm about to do my squats. You know, it really felt like gang stalking. So I said, let me sit here, you know, because I don't want to be a bitch to everyone in here now and create a hostile environment in this place that I come to 3 times out of the week, because I'm having a reaction to these last 2 shitty ass days. I said, let me sit here and just cool down and let him use the machine. So I sat there. I didn't think anything about him standing there. I literally sat there and I just let him do his thing, right? I said, let me wait for him to use it. Do you know this man stood there and crossed his arms and stared down at the floor and purposely waited? Like he was waiting for me to use the machine. So this was how I started realizing, wait a minute, this is really gang stalking, you know? So I started thinking thoughts in my head. I said, so he's not going to use the machine? I said, what's going on? I said, he's going to just stand there and stare? Now, typically, I wouldn't have thought that. Typically, I would have just moved to another machine if I noticed gang stalking was happening overtly like that. But I was already in reactive abuse mode. I was in bitch mode already. I was angry. And I was just ready to pound out my worker. I didn't feel like the interference. So I started getting annoyed. And after a while of him just standing there staring at the floor intentionally, obviously, I said, okay, well, he's not using the machine, so let me rest my plates against the machine. And so I got my plates and I rested them against the machine. And I started doing my squats. And then he steps over my plates and then starts using the machine. It's just a weird thing. So I just kept doing my squats and ignoring him. And I got through all of my squats. And so then he moved around. He's just moving like in this circle around me, like in the area around where I'm at. So then I moved to the other machine. I'm, now the cable machine where I'm about to do cable kickbacks. As I'm moving to this machine, now he walks by and he quickly rubs his nose in this kind of way, right? But for me to see. And so I said, I know I'm a bad bitch. This is where the narcissism comes in. And right then, I didn't put this song on. My playlist ended, and so I hit shuffle. I never pick songs. I always hit shuffle. I hit shuffle. And the song for Ari Lennox that I told you guys about in these recent videos, that's on my playlist now. Ari Lennox and I believe Ariana Grande. It's called Queen Vibe, I believe, or something like that. Came on. And it's like, don't waste my queen space. True inhibition when I let you taste. Like those are the lyrics, right? So it does have some sexual innuendo in there. That's the only song on my playlist that has that. And I explained to you all how that got on my playlist in the first place. But I don't have to explain anything. I'm a grown woman. I can listen to what I want to listen to. And most of them listen to what they want to listen to, but purposely to make me feel uncomfortable, they'll do noise campaigns for certain songs. And so it's to the point where I'm so sensitized now. It's so bad that they shut down the public transportation on me because that wasn't the real reason. I already talked about this in prior videos. It was obvious that was something that they were planning to do with the taxis. But they took a song I was listening to and actually created a narrative from it. So for fear of retribution, because really if it weren't for that, I wouldn't care and I would listen to what I want to listen to. For fear of retribution, I don't put certain songs on my playlist. Like the kind of songs I like to listen to, it's a broad variety of songs. I have an eclectic taste in music. Not just genre, but content. My sister, I was in her car when my cousin came on island a few months ago. She's playing her playlist in the car. A bunch of songs with sexual stuff in it. A lot of young women have them type of songs in their playlists. A bunch of those type of songs. My cousin too on her playlist having similar songs. It's just like a few songs in the playlist that have those things, and a lot of the music has that in it these days. They're not doing any ref campaign. Me, the moment I put a song like that on, they're ready to throw water bottles at me and create these false narratives and the craziness, the gaslighting. Anyway, so I said I'm putting this song on my playlist, because I explained in a prior video how it happened, where they sent Ari Lennox to me, and then, I started looking her up because of something that's going on with her and her label, and I'm a big fan of hers, and, ended up finding a song for her. All her songs have sexual innuendos in it. This was actually the most tame song I could find. So anyway, the thing ended up on my playlist, and that's what it is. It's on my playlist. So just then, when he's, walking by and he does that nose thing now, after he stayed by me and squatted by me the whole time, it's just a passive aggressive thing they do sometimes when they're trying to malign me. He walked by and did that for me to see. I go into my place and I thought in my head, I know I'm a bad bitch. I know that's the problem. This created the narcissistic disposition. Then I went on my phone and I hit shuffle. I didn't pick this song. I hit shuffle and I know they saw it too. The people that are obsessively staring at me. Coincidentally, that's the song that pops on. Don't waste my queen space. True inhibition when I let you taste. Like that's just what they're on. And I didn't take it off either. I said, oh well, And so I threw my bag down and I went to do my cable machine kicks. Right, so he's walking back and forth in the area. Now he kept walking by me back and forth because obviously I gave the reaction, and I went in there with some negative energy anyway. I believe that's what created the gang stalking activity that was taking place in there. It was my own reaction to what was happening before I got to the gym. So it's just completely unfair, but that's just how the thing works. You have to control your reactions because you're going to get punished for them. It doesn't matter if they can see what took place before the reaction. it's still gonna just be monster bitch at it again. So anyway, I start doing my cable kicks, and I block him out and everyone else in the gym. I start blocking them out and doing my cable kicks because that thing really puts a burn on my glutes, and also it hurts my lower back now that my lower back is strained. So I was focused on that, trying to get that done. Finished the first side, my first leg. I turned to the other leg to do the 30 reps on the other leg, and my back was really hurting me at that point. And so I kept having to stop and pause and stuff. They don't send a notification. They like, my phone is hacked up with the shadow networking. They threw a notification at me, when they realized I was paused up and in pain and stuff. So I said, don't worry. I said, watch me finish these reps. That's what I said. Watch me. I always say that when they start gaslighting, like doing stuff, passive aggressive stuff, like they'll fly the insect drone by or do stuff like that. Then or send a notification. I always say, watch me, because I know I'm gonna get through everything. I'm going to get through everything. It doesn't matter if I'm hurting or not. I'm going to get through everything, especially with how I was feeling in the gym today. You damn sure know I was getting through everything. Anyway, so then I get over to the squat machine and I start using the squat machine, right? The other squat machine, the Smith machine, where I do my other squats. And I'm working on that machine and I'm doing my workouts. I end up walking by and I see now the guy, right? The guy that I had winning on before he came in the gym. He held his face and rubbed down his face to say I smell bad, because obviously I was going on how I was going on. And I just ignored him and I said, watch me, friend. I thought that because I know you can hear my thoughts. I said, just watch me, friend. That's all I thought. And I started going ham in the Smith machine. And I went a little heavier today too. Like I told y'all on the Smith machine, I do 50 squats. I do 15, the first 15 at 100, the first 15 at 180 pounds. Then I do 30 squats at 140 pounds, and then the last 5 I do at 180 pounds. I switched up the routine now because even though I wanted to go a little easier on myself with the Smith machine, I don't want to put too much pressure on my back, and I'm already going to 320 pounds on the other machine. And then also I'm doing 25 hack squats at 140 pounds. I don't feel like I need to do too much with the Smith, too heavy, right? So 180 is heavy enough, right? I said, that's not challenging me enough though. Because with the Smith machine, I actually can get to 230 pounds ass to grass. So I said, let me challenge myself a little bit more. And so I said, for the last 5, I'm going to do 200 pounds instead of the 180. Sorry, I need to blow my nose, y'all. So I changed my routine in that way. So now I'm still doing the 50 squats on the Smith machine. But what I'm doing instead is 15 squats at 180 pounds. 30 squats at 140 pounds. And then for the last 5 squats, I'm doing 200 pounds. And I did it and it felt good. It really felt good. I got it done. So he's the guy in the red shirt. He keeps sitting on the machine right next to the Smith machine. There's a machine behind me, like a where you could do flies, with your arm. It's like a chest and arm workout. He's sitting on that machine, passing back and forth by the Smith machine, just lingering in the area. And then eventually he moved off and went in his own direction. But after a while, when I was on that Smith machine, I tuned out everyone and everything. And the gang stalking pretty much stopped at that point. They stopped. It was just light gang stalking activity. And I believe it happened because of my reaction when I first got there. But again, it was reactive abuse. But after that, I just kind of got in the zone and I started going ham, doing my workout. And I had a good time. It lightened my mood. I felt better. And then I saw this girl that I went to school with, as I was getting towards the end of my squats. I happened to look up and I saw her face again. This is my second time seeing her in the gym. The first time I saw her was actually when I went in the morning time. Y'all know I like to work out in the morning time. I saw her come in the other morning. I made a video talking about this. I think it wasn't the last video. Was it the last video? No, I believe it was the video before the last video. It wasn't the last video. I think it was the video before the last one. Where something was happening with the Italian guy and I was talking about it. Something that happened with him. And then I was saying, then I saw the military guy come in. And the reason I knew he was a military guy was because I know his face. Remember, it's a small island. And I had never seen him in there before. At that time or ever in the gym. I saw that guy come in and then that girl came in behind him. And I knew her face looked familiar. But similar to a lot of these faces that I recognized later on, I just felt like a tinge of familiarity. And that was it, that first time I saw her face. I was like, I know her face from somewhere. Second time I see her in the gym, now today. Today I was in there in the afternoon at 1:25. Throughout the course of the workout, she eventually came in. And so I saw her face a second time And just like all the other names that pop in my head when I see the face for a second or third time, the name popped in my head. I keep explaining to y'all this targeting is a nightmare. With my thoughts being projected and the kind of memory I have, I actually had class with this girl, so it's a little bit more in depth. It's not like some of these faces that I just know on a whim and I don't know the person. I don't know her. I don't know her like that, but I'm more familiar with her than some of these other people that I've recognized. Like, I actually went to school with her. And I had class with her, and also, too, she was my neighbor for a good two years, you know, something like that. I lived in one of those neighborhoods off in the boondocks here on Island when I was younger, in high school. And she was literally my next door neighbor for like a year or two, in addition to the fact that I had class with her. So I do know her name. So the name tried to pop in my head, kept trying to pop in my head. And so I knew it might happen. And I know she knows my face, too. I don't know if obviously she knows my name. Everyone knows my name. So I know she knows my face too, though, aside from the targeting. So I know she knows where I know her from. So, you know, it would be understandable, her name popping in my head. I've already explained this is how it works when I see somebody that I know the name of. But it's still just this weird thing, like, why is your name popping in my head? But it happens with everyone that I recognize. But it's still embarrassing. So I thought I know my thoughts can be heard. And I said, my brain is ticking now. First, it was the Italian guy's name that was trying to tick in my head. Because that's the tick that happens when I get in the gym now. I've been thoroughly programmed to that thing. You know, they're now purposefully with the technology sending me his name sometimes and sending me a bunch of stuff about Italians. So they're literally trying to now program him into my brain. And they already know that his name ticks into my head. So when I get in the gym, oftentimes his name, even if he's not there, wants to tick into my head. And it's going to be happening for a while until it will stop if I stop seeing him. Like, if he stops coming at the time that I'm coming, eventually it's going to stop, like all the other ticks. But it's the fact that I'm seeing him 3 days out of the week consistently. And then now they're actually programming the thing into my brain with the technology. Sorry, y'all, something's in my eye. I don't know what's going on. And now they're actually programming the thing into my brain with the technology. This is why the tick might not stop, or at least not anytime soon. Anyway, so I was in the gym today, and you know, that off and on when I'm in the gym, even if he's not there, ticks in my head his name. But I was successfully pushing it out. It wasn't fully coming into my head. But while I was on the Smith machine, that was trying to tick into my head. And then I see this girl, and her name starts trying to tick into my head. So I'm warring with this thing, you know, warring with her name, you know. And so I said, you know what, just in case the name pops in, let me just give a disclaimer, because I know they can hear my thoughts. And so I said, my brain was initially ticking with the other tick that happens. I thought this in my head because I know they can all hear my thoughts. And I said, but now I'm seeing this girl that I went to school with, and the name is ticking in my head. You know, first I said, damn this memory. And I said, I'm seeing a girl I went to school with. Her name is trying to tick into my head. So if your name pops in my head, I said, sorry, I can't help it. Y'all know how this thing works. Because I know they're familiar with what's going on. They're all watching me like a freak show. They have seen over the course of the last 2 years what's happened, especially over the course of the last year since the thought projection has started, or I've been cognizant of it. So they know what happens when I see people that I'm familiar with and I recognize the name. It will start to tick in my head. I've talked about it in numerous videos. So I said that disclaimer, and it made me feel more comfortable, because I felt like, well, if it happens, it's not a big deal. And so even though the tick kept trying to happen, I was able to successfully push the thing out. Anyway, so I finished the workout though, and I was able to leave after doing the workout. Long story short, I finished the workout, I got through the workout, and I left. But I still was feeling shitty about the reaction I had and the fact that a little bit of gang stalking started taking place. And again, it just felt unfair because it's reactive abuse. I felt like, again, it would seem like I was just being like this nasty bitch when it was a reaction. Anyway, that's it, y'all. This video is way too long. I'm sure I'm going to see it's like 3 hours long. I be trying not to make these videos long, and, it's just like I can't help it. There's so much to cover oftentimes, and I'm dealing with this shit 24/7. I could just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I've never been this kind of person. It's so funny how they keep sending me shadow networking about the fact that I won't shut up, and, I keep talking and, exposing my business and this and that and all this stupid gaslighting, when that's never been me. Anybody who truly knows me knows that this is so not me. The conversation my sisters and I were having on Facebook the other day, about how I used to be versus how I am now, was so freaking pertinent. I was so glad about them saying those things, and confirming how I used to be versus how I am now. You change and you assimilate to your targeting. They're painting all these false narratives, so typically the natural response is to advocate and stand up for yourself. And so you end up having a voice, you end up becoming an outspoken person, You're dealing with all this gang stalking activity, so you're forced to be around people and have people in your space and in your private, personal life. And so even if you're this reserved, quiet, to yourself type person, you're gonna change. It's inevitable. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all on the next one. I'm done. I'll talk to y'all on the next one. Peace out.